couldn't breathe.
Calls to police.
You blame me that I made you file for divorce. Did I hold a gun to your head?
I'm not saying you made me.
For once, own up.
You get angry really easy.
This isn't a marriage.
Are you an abusive husband?
Yes.
It's a train wreck.
You're going to shut this down, or I'm going to shut it down for you. I want you to listen to this horrifying and emotional description of an attack that nearly ended the life of my guest today.
He slammed me onto the ground and was choking me until I somehow managed to say I couldn't breathe, and he let me go.
So who was this woman so scared of? To fully understand, we need to go back 2 years to her wedding day. Every little girl's dream. A day Jamie could not wait for. But within 6 days, she said her fairy tale turned into a nightmare. She says the weekly abuse began, leaving her entire body covered in bruises, multiple ER trips, and regularly saying to herself, "This is it. I'm going to die." But even after these vicious attacks and nearly 100 calls to the police, she still desperately wanted her marriage to work. So much so, she says she got pregnant in hopes that a baby would force her husband, Jay, to change his violent ways. But she says the horror and abuse continued. Married less than 2 years, Jamie finally said enough is enough, and she divorced Jay. But it is far from over.
Jay has pushed me, shoved me, thrown me to the ground, choked me, scratched me, thrown me into furniture. I was covered from head to toe with bruises one time. I've never felt so hated in my entire life. There was an incident where he grabbed me and he put me over the balcony from our 2-story house. He said, "I could kill you right now." Grabbed me by my face and pushed me back, and I flipped over the chase and busted all my teeth and my gums, and blood came out of my mouth. I fear that if I were to ever officially leave, I don't know what he would do to retaliate. I fear for my life.
Well, Jay says he is tired of being made out to be a monster, while Jamie plays the innocent victim.
I get pissed off, and I'll explode, like, get the out of my face. I was sitting on a couch. She grabbed me by my face and, well, just listen to me, screaming, grabbed her by her throat, and I pinned her on the couch. I believe that when I'm getting pissed off, she knows. She's so busy running her mouth that it causes chaos. When I start getting very frustrated, I'll tell her to shut her fat mouth, shut your big ass mouth. It feels like Jamie's made me out to be a monster. She portrays herself as a victim, but I really believe that Jamie needs to have ownership of what's going on here. She's doing the same erratic behaviors I'm doing. So who's the victim?
Are you an abusive husband?
Yes.
Why?
It just gets to the point where I just lose control.
So you are abusing your wife?
Yes.
You said, quote, "If she weren't so busy running her mouth and shut up to listen to me, things would be better." That's a quote.
That's how I feel, yes.
She is the world's worst blank communicator. She interrogates me and asks me the same question 50 different ways to piss me off. She plays head games with me and pushes my buttons until I am forced to react.
I do feel that way, yes.
But for these things, you wouldn't do that.
I'm not justifying my actions with what I say, but that's what's pushed me to that point. I don't think me assaulting my wife or verbally abusing her is correct, but it's pushing me to a point where I'm resorting to that.
What do you think's going on here?
I've tried so many different ways to stop this. I've tried being passive. I've tried letting it go. I've tried walking away. I've tried meeting fire with fire. I've tried so many different avenues, and it has the exact same outcome.
What about all the times I've walked away, where you've come chasing after me, Jamie?
I'm talking about me.
You haven't tried everything. There have been several times where I've tried to walk out, and who would come chasing after me?
He says, quote, "She refuses to let me leave and forces me to sit there until I blow."
This man cannot be forced to do anything he doesn't want to do. I've begged him.
So he's lying
yes,
when he says that.
absolutely.
So explain the other day when you told me to get the out, but yet You kept my keys, you kept my wallet from doing so.
I'm not preventing you from leaving.
What are you doing?
I want you to come back. I don't want you to stay gone for 2 weeks at a time. I want you to come back.
Well, he says you just need to shut up when she knows that I'm angry.
I've tried that. I've tried to go in the other room, and he follows me around and pushes and pushes and pushes and pushes.
I have.
Did you say I don't have compassion when she is on the ground crying? You just attacked me, and I attacked back.
It's very hard for me to reach over after she ripped my heart out. Oh, I'm so sorry for what I've done.
You say, the sound of her voice makes me cringe.
Okay, I won't deny it.
How many times did you go to the ER?
3.
Why did you quit going if the abuse continued?
Because they started to catch on, and I was trying everything that I could to protect him.
And do you feel safe?
No. I have worn long-sleeve shirts or pants to cover up the marks that are on my body. There was one incident where he pushed me, and I fell into the door and tore the muscle in my shoulder from the fall. Another time, he grabbed my head and pushed it through the closet door, and it busted my nose.
Do you feel safe?
No.
He's put his hands around your throat, that he's pushed you down, broken things, tells you constantly to shut the up, you bitch, you don't deserve my last name, you're worthless. Do you say those things to her?
I have. Yes, I have.
Tell me under what theory you think that is constructive, productive, in any way makes this situation work?
Honestly, there's no theory behind it. I lose control. I have an anger issue.
Are you mentally ill?
No.
What is your anger issue? Tell me about it.
It's like when I'm pushed or I feel I'm backed into a corner. I'm gonna defend myself. And I defend myself by getting angry.
And you get angry a lot.
I do yeah, I do.
I mean, didn't y'all get evicted because you had like 20 complaints at an apartment? So you just got to move?
Yeah.
How long were you married before the wheels came off and you got hurt?
About 6 days after we were
6
married.
days?
Yeah.
After you got married? You didn't last very long.
No.
No.
How many times did you go to the ER?
3.
Why did you quit going if the abuse continued?
Because they started to catch on, and I was trying everything that I could to protect him. He was on parole at the time, so to protect him, I covered it up.
You've thrown her to the ground, choked her, shoved her into doors, slammed her face in anything close, grab her by the hair, drag her, sit on top of her, busted lip, broken nose, thrown through the door, choked nearly unconscious, told me I have to die, held over a second-floor balcony, destroys anything that means anything to her, destroys the furniture, broke the wedding photos, and you got pregnant, right? And how did he react to that?
His first response was, have fun with your pregnancy, and he walked away from me.
Have fun with your pregnancy.
That wasn't the initial response. She'd come up to my sister's house where I'd gone to get away from her. Granted, she'd come up there to tell me about a pregnancy. We started to talk. She told me about the pregnancy. Some other things came up. I said, you know what? Screw it then. We started to argue. I said, screw it then. Have fun with your pregnancy. Go get an abortion for all I give a. That's what I said.
Did you key the car?
Yeah, I was just pissed off.
You keyed your own car?
She seems to think I'm a materialistic person, and all I care about are possessions.
Where'd you throw coffee in her face?
It was at his nephew's house.
And he threw coffee in your face?
On my shirt.
Why'd you throw coffee on her?
She'd shove me into a door.
I didn't shove you.
You didn't shove me into a door.
I did not shove you into anything. I just basically put my hands on you.
You put your hands on me. I hit the door, Jamie.
Phone.
This is the problem we have.
I just spent $1,000 on a phone that you smashed.
And that gives you a right to put your hands on me.
No, it does not.
You seem to think so.
Okay, your language is very disrespectful, and I would appreciate it if you could clean your mouth up a little. All right, we got to take a break. Jay says when it comes to being violent and abusive, the finger should be pointed at Jamie, not at him. He says she is spinning this whole situation to make herself look like an innocent victim. Well, we'll look at that side of things when we come back.
Jamie will call me a sociopath, a deadbeat dad. I'm being hit. I'm being shoved. That is physical violence. There was a time where Jamie shoved me into the cupboard and split my eye open. I'm being hit. I'm being shoved. That is physical violence. Jamie will call me a sociopath, a deadbeat dad, a piece of an ass, abuser. It goes on. She'll threaten me with things like, you know how many men are out there who will love me and appreciate me, who will treat me with respect, and I'll tell her, well, if that's the case, then go be with them.
Okay, are you abusive with your husband?
I have pushed him.
And that made sense how?
Doesn't.
Do you want out of this relationship with him?
It's a hard question to answer because if it's staying this way, then yes. If we can get help, then no. I do want to be with him. I do want to be safe.
How did you feel when you would see her bruised and swollen and blood seeping?
Heartbroken.
Do you think it hurts her when you call her disgusting names?
Yes. When we're verbally assaulting one another like that, it's hard to break it.
Why have you stayed in this situation?
Well, before I got pregnant, I was ready to go. I filed for divorce, and then I found out I was pregnant. And I took my vows very seriously, and I put up with it for that long because I was trying to be committed to making it work and stand by his side.
My question is, real quick, you said you filed for the divorce, but the past year, you told me I made you. I'm
not done.
No, I made you divorce you.
I know, I filed twice, you know that. I filed twice.
Okay, you're full of crap.
Really? Because I can show you the paperwork. April,
it's not about the paperwork.
In April,
I made you blame me for everything, just like that. I made you file for divorce.
You did. You told me that you were going to move to Texas to be with another woman.
Did I hold a gun to your head?
You told me you're leaving the next morning and that I had 24 hours to do whatever I needed to do before you run off with another woman. You're right. I'm not saying you made me, but what you did.
You've been saying that for a year and a half.
All right, fine.
Charming.
Angry.
You get angry really easy, don't you?
It's not really easy. It's like, if you're going to be up here, be honest. I've been blamed that I've made her file for divorce. That I forced her to go down there. And to hear that I went down and filed it,
I never said that.
It's upsetting.
Well, you know what's upsetting to me is that you're making a distinction without a difference. You're saying, she says, I made her go file for divorce. Yeah. Let me tell you, when you put her in the ER time and time again, when you smash her face into the wall, when you smash her face into the cabinets, when you throw coffee all over, when you call her every name in the book, that's making her file for divorce, whether you like it or whether you don't. I don't care whether you said sign this paper and go down there. When you choose the behavior, you choose the consequences. And when you choose that behavior, you are choosing divorce, because if this woman stays with you with that conduct, she is wrong. Okay. She is seriously wrong. No woman with any self-respect, any dignity, any self-worth whatsoever would live with somebody that treats her the way you treat her.
You're right.
True or false?
True.
We're going to take a break here. Jamie says not only is Jay a horrible husband, but he's a bad dad. He says, no, I am not a bad dad. We're going to talk about that after the break, because there's one reason I agreed to do this story, and that reason is 7 months old. We'll be right back.
When I got pregnant, Jay said, have fun with your pregnancy, and walked away from me.
I told her that it wasn't my problem. Get an abortion. I know that Jamie's addicted to pain pills. She was taking them to numb herself from things in our relationship. Before Jamie was addicted, she had control over her behavior. Since her addiction, she will act a complete ass. She will scream and yell and throw what I call a 5-year-old temper tantrum. She'll admit that she has a problem, but she won't admit that it's her problem. She'll say that I'm the problem.
Jay says that Jamie's unwillingness to take her head out of the sand when it comes to her addiction to prescription medication causes a lot of problem. Jamie says that the real problem is Jay's parenting.
When I got pregnant, Jay said, "Have fun with your pregnancy," and walked away from me.
I lashed out. I told her that it wasn't my problem. Get an abortion. I don't care.
Jay told me not to put his name on the birth certificate because he didn't want Jasek to have his name on.
Despite what I'd said in the beginning, I love him now.
Jay thinks he's a good dad. A good father would want to see his son whether we're together or not, and when we're not together, he doesn't make any effort to do so. I don't really consider Jay an active part of Jasek's life. Jay just comes and goes as he pleases.
Okay, do you have a prescription pill addiction?
Yes.
What are you taking?
Norco.
Speak up.
Norco.
Are you on them now? Right now? Here?
Yes.
Or do you consider yourself high right now?
No.
Because you seem to be a little bit in an altered state of consciousness.
Okay.
Those pills are no longer for pain. You're just addicted to them. In fact, after a while, they potentiate pain rather than alleviate pain. Yeah. So you can tell yourself you're taking them for pain, if that's what you like to say.
No.
But you're not. You're taking them because you're addicted to them.
I completely acknowledge that. I'm not taking them.
Okay. You've spent how long in prison?
A little over 3 years.
You're going back if you don't stop what you're doing.
Correct.
You got a problem with anger, rage, and impulse control, and it's going to get you in trouble, and you're going to wind up back in jail because all it takes is not even her, just a neighbor, just somebody calling, and they come and cite you for domestic violence, violation of probation.
Correct.
You don't even do process. You're just gone.
That's a lot of problem I'm having now, is that I will leave the house, she'll follow me where I'm at, cause a scene. My fear is the cops being called out. They're not going to ask questions. They're just going to slam handcuffs on me.
I hear your victim story, but you remember the day that I told you that if you don't get out of this pressure cooker, you're going back to prison. And somebody's going to step up and say, you know what? You're a drug addict. You're putting yourself in a relationship with a violent and volatile man that puts you and your baby in jeopardy. And the Department of Child and Family Services is going to come up and alleviate you of that baby because you aren't fit to take care of it, because you're not making the decisions necessary to put that child's interest above your own. Okay? You may say, okay, I'll let him call me names and I'll continue this cycle, as we call it. I get all of that buzzwords you've picked up from 8 therapists. I get all of that. But this baby doesn't have a voice, so I'm going to be that baby's voice, and you're going to shut this down, or I'm going to shut it down for you. Come on. You got to get off of these pills.
Yes.
You got to get out of this relationship unless and until you two mature enough to have a relationship. You never, ever put your hands on a woman in anger. I don't care what she does. I'm just telling you the truth. And I agree. You should be really liking the fact that somebody's telling you the truth. I'm going to offer both of you help. This gentleman right here, Miles Adcock, he is the owner and CEO of Onsite. Now, Onsite is truly considered the worldwide leader in trauma treatment and relationships. It's located on an incredibly beautiful ranch just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. I've asked him to come here because I have asked him to take you. Miles,
Absolutely. What I see is you guys are bonded together in this trauma, and it's creating this chaotic mess. And guess what? If you don't break this cycle, it's going to continue to break you.
You know, Jay, we talk about anger like it's a totally emotional sort of thing. At this point, I believe that you are in a neurological loop that you are doing a lot of what you are doing involuntarily. And I am very concerned that nobody has ever really evaluated and treated you in the way that is necessary for you to truly get this under control. And I want to do that for you.
Thank you.
And so I'm offering to fly you to Dallas, Texas, to the Lawless PNP Center, and do a complete workup and intervention with you. And this is our gift to you.
Thank you.
And I don't think anybody has ever decided to help you rather than judge you. And I'm offering to do that for you now.
Thank you.
Will you take that help?
Yes.
Deal?
Yeah.
Will you take this help? Deal? Okay. All right. Next, we're going to take an unprecedented look inside a domestic violence shelter. Let me tell you why I say unprecedented. When women go to shelters, there is amazing secrecy because husbands can stalk them, they can find them, they can hurt them, they can kill them. These things are top secret, but we're going to take a look inside one of those shelters so all of you women out there know what is available. Plus, my wife, Robin, has a very exciting announcement furthering her mission to stop domestic violence. All of this after the break.
This is the first time that we've ever brought anybody in from outside.
I'm seeing cameras, and I'm seeing that it's still very secure.
The night before I left, I put the children into bed, and when I looked up, he was standing holding the knife, and I just thought, that's it.
He had a butcher knife in his hand. I didn't even really realize that I had lost my eye.
I'm doused with a big pot of oil. I'm just seeing skin and blood just everywhere. And they gave me 48 hours to live. I spent 136 days in ICU. I had 26 surgeries and 3 reconstruction surgeries.
Every bone in my face had been broken. My eyes were gouged. My face was ripped from the bone. He bit my ear off.
Well, stories like those are exactly why my wife, Robin, started her foundation When Georgia Smiled last year. She proudly named the foundation after her mother, and its mission is to help empower and stand up for anyone who is being abused or neglected. Now, Robin recently had the privilege of visiting Laura's house. They allowed our cameras to take a never-before-seen look inside of their women's shelter.
Hi, Margaret.
Hi, Robin. Welcome to Laura's house.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here. I know you don't do this often, or if ever.
No, this is the first time that we've ever brought anybody in from outside.
My hope is that because of you and allowing us to be here today, that we're going to reach a lot of women out there and let them know they're not alone.
I hope so,
They're
too.
not alone. I'm seeing cameras, and I'm seeing that it's very secure.
Absolutely.
So they have to feel a sense of safety here.
That's our #1 goal, is safety and confidentiality. Every window and every door is secure. And when they come here, a lot of them will tell us that it's the first decent night's sleep that they've had because they feel safe.
Everything's locked.
It's locked. This is important because when our clients come in, if they have a cell phone or an iPad or something, of course that can all be tracked. So we ask them to put them in their locker and not use them while they're in the house.
Turn them off.
Right, to turn them off.
and not use them.
Right, because the truth is, if someone tracks their family to Laura's house, we have to ask them to leave within 2 to 3 hours for the safety of everybody else in the house.
Does that happen often?
Not often, but it does happen. So this is the dining room and the kitchen area. We wanted the shelter to be a place where our clients felt that this was their home.
I'm sure these women come in here and it's just pure joy for them to get to cook in such happy surroundings, because they usually at home are being told what to cook and they never get to hear a thank you.
I think that's the case.
And I can just see a bunch of women sitting there and children with big smiles on their faces saying thank you.
That's right. People have said to me in the past, Margaret, why did you make the property so comfortable, so luxurious? And the reason we did that was because we feel that if they come in and we believe that they're worth this, they start to believe that they're worth it.
I love that. I just have a feeling that there is just a sense of camaraderie and
Right.
just
It's like
a
girl
family.
Girl power.
Girl power.
Yeah, they come in and they think they're the only person. Of course, I'm the only one this happened to, and they come in here and they realize that this is like
I'm
a
not
family.
alone.
This is our children's therapy room. And we wanted this to look as much like a regular children's play therapy that you'd find anywhere, so that the kids feel like they're just normal kids when they come in here. What we see is that the children here at Laura's house will, even if they can't articulate what's happened to them, you see it through what they draw.
And I see over here where they've been writing on the chalkboard.
Right,
What a safe
right.
place where you're not scared. I'm looking around and seeing these toys. I'm happy that you've done this room for them. I'm trying not to cry, but I think about a lot of those babies that leave so quickly in the middle of the night and they don't even get to grab one toy. I see stuffed animals over there, and I have 2 grandchildren and I know how much they love their stuffed animals.
Each child that comes into Laura's house gets one of these. And this is yours. This is their safety blanket from the minute they walk in.
It was what I was thinking when I looked around. I thought they had to leave their favorite toy or their favorite stuffed animal at home, maybe.
Right.
Just get in the car and let's go.
It's true.
Because when it's time to save your life, it's time.
That's right. They may not even have shoes on.
Can I just ask you right now, how many children you have here at Laura's house?
Today at Laura's house, we have 12 children and 9 moms, and we're bringing a new family into Laura's house today.
This family that you're bringing in today, how soon will the children meet with a therapist? Or will they?
They will. Actually, each woman and each child have a therapist. Okay, so this is our family therapy room. This can be the first place that the children have actually been in control of what goes on. And they will reenact in here using these figures and the house. And we've had even 2-year-olds reenact what actually happened to them. Oh, Robin, we designed it such that a mom and the kids could all be in the same room together.
I love it.
Most of them have never lived anywhere quite maybe as nice as this. I do have to say that there are no socioeconomic, boundaries to domestic violence, as you know. So
that's exactly right. In fact, I'm going to sit down with some ladies, and one of them said, "I never thought me, a well-educated woman, would ever go through this."
That's right. It can happen to
So
anyone.
it can happen to anyone.
It really can.
I just want to say again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing us to come in and walk through this beautiful home and show that there is a place like Laura's house everywhere out there for women who are suffering. I really thank you so much.
Let me ask you, you were really impressed with that program down there.
I was so impressed. I did not know what I would see when we got there. And I have to say I paused before I went in the door because I actually thought about the women who had come before me. And they were leaving a life of abuse and turmoil and violence. And then one step in that door and it was a new life.
And you were saying, when we were talking earlier, like that play area that they had for the children, they got the stuffed animals and stuff. They have psychological staff that comes in there and works with the children to try to deal with their fears in age-appropriate language and all.
They are there for 6 weeks, and they are helped every day. And it's just such a feeling of love and family and peace. And so I could feel the difference the entire time I was there for those families.
Well, while Robin was there, she had the opportunity of meeting 3 very brave women, all of whom used Laura's house to escape their abusers. Let's take a look.
Thank you very, very much for allowing me to be here with you. I consider you all very brave, and I'd love to hear a lot about each one of you and your stories.
I was constantly mentally abused. It happens so subtly over time, and it starts out with, you know, you're not as good at that as I am, so I'll take over the finances. And I don't want you messing with my computer because you'll mess things up. So I'll set up all your passwords for all of your email accounts, and I'll take care of all that.
The #1 tool of an abuser is isolation.
I had no access to money and no credit card, nothing for emergencies. And so whenever I would ask for money, I had to exchange it for degrading, intimidating, sexual favors.
Did you think he was on the verge of hitting you?
No, I felt like he was on the verge of killing me.
So he had no compassion for you when it came to the children, needing something for the children?
I went into a dumpster one day just to get food for our family. In his mind, I was a dumpster diver.
What gave you the courage to finally leave?
The night before I left, I had gone in and put the children into bed, and I came back downstairs. When I looked up, he was standing holding the knife, and I just thought, that's it. And I left with my 2 garbage bags full of stuff and have never gone back. Laura's house changed everything for me.
Can you share with me what you went through before you came to Laura's house?
I'm disabled, and that was a major advantage for my husband. After the kids started leaving home, that's when the violence got really, really bad. One day my husband pointed a gun at my head, and he always told me if I left, he would kill me.
Can I ask you something? Did you consider leaving right then?
I did, but he was very charming when he wanted to be. I really felt like I had no choice, and I felt like at one point that as long as I stayed, he would never kill me, but towards the end, it became quite apparent that he was going to.
How did you feel when you finally took that first step to get out of that situation?
I was so scared. I walked away from everything, my adult children, my grandchildren, the house I bought, the job. I left everything behind, and that was kind of hard.
And you still conceal your identity because do you think he's still looking for you?
He does a lot of psychological warfare from a distance. My best friend that got me out, he slid all 4 of her tires twice. He made a death threat.
How long did you put up with your abuse?
On and off 9 years.
9 years.
I met my boyfriend when I was 16 years old. He's kicked me onto the floor. He's choked me, spit in my face. When my daughter was 3 months old, I came home and there were 3 lines across her face. He would constantly tell me that I am nothing and I'm never going to be anything.
How long was it until he then put his hands on you?
Well, our senior year of high school was probably the first time he put his hands on me. He slapped me.
What'd you think when he did that?
I just started crying.
When he hit you like that and just walked away, did you tell anyone that day?
No.
What was it that made you not leave and go tell someone?
I felt that, you know, we're young, maybe it's just a phase, you know. I just thought I'd just stick it out until he matured.
And did it take coming to Laura's house before you realized it wasn't a phase?
It took me actually living with him to realize that it's not a phase, this is who he is.
Are you proud of yourself now that you've got out of that situation?
I'm not that girl anymore. I can support myself, I can support my daughter and be who I want to be and be free.
Well, ladies, I think I'd like to just take one last opportunity for each one of you to maybe give a message of hope that there is help out there, just like Laura's house.
Don't get discouraged.
As much as you feel that there's no way out, there is help to be found.
With places like Laura's house, they're your support system. They will be there for you.
That is so true. It's about you and your safety.
and the safety of your children. Thank you all very much for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Joining us now is the CEO and Executive Director of Laura's House, Margaret Bastings. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for allowing us to bring our cameras in and have Robin at Laura's house. It was great.
It was my pleasure. You were wonderful. Thank you.
And, you know, just so people know, because we haven't talked about it for a while, I'd like for you to talk about why you're so focused on domestic violence. Robin's foundation is When Georgia Smiled, and she launched it this year, and you know, the name was significant. Talk about that.
Yes, I did name When Georgia Smiled after my mother. And a lot of people have asked me, did she suffer from domestic violence? No, she did not. But my mother was a very strong woman, and we suffered from my father's alcoholism growing up, and I found a lot of strength growing up from her smile. And I have to say, when we would tape the shows for the last 12 years and he would do shows on domestic violence, the strength that I would see from those women and hearing the voices of those women gave me such inspiration that when I started When Georgia Smiled, I wanted to focus on domestic violence. And it's just women like you who have helped us further that cause. It was so wonderful to hear that you started out as a volunteer at Laura's house. And now she's the executive director.
15 years.
15 years.
15 years. Also joining us is Adam Dodge. He's a legal advocate for Laura's House who's trying to begin a desperately needed advocacy program for the shelter's clients. So, Adam, thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure.
So, what is the need that women have when they find themselves in these situations that you're addressing?
Well, certainly an immediate need is protection under the law to keep them safe, to keep their abuser away from them, to protect their children, and that kind of legal relief is available through restraining order protection in the California court system.
You help them get the restraining order so they at least have a legal foundation to stand on.
That's right.
Robin, probably all of y'all know by now because it's been crazily successful, has launched a new lifestyle brand called Robin McGraw Revelation.
Yes, it is my honor to present on behalf of my foundation, When Georgia Smiled, a grant for $50,000 to Laura's House so that they can begin their new advocacy program and continue to help these women and children escape abuse and move on to happy, healthy, and safe lives. And a very special thank you to all of you at home who purchased my Avery Lasting Love lip gloss. 100% of the net proceeds from those sales go directly to helping women and children and are responsible for grants just like these.
I trust this will make a difference.
I think so. We know it takes tremendous courage to leave a domestic violence situation. You're going to help a lot more people do that.
Well, that's what it's all about. That's what we want. So thank you so much. All right, next, domestic violence doesn't just happen in the home. Now college students across the country are joining Robin to end the silence on domestic violence on their campuses. We'll talk about that when we come back. Robin is a busy girl, and she has another very exciting announcement.
That's right, Philip. From September 8th through October 15th, students across the U.S. can enter the hashtag #IAspire and enter to win a grant up to $5,000 to help further their efforts to raise awareness about sexual violence and relationship abuse on college campuses.
Now, students can enter the challenge by going to studentsoftheworld.org/IAspire.
Or you can also go to whengeorgiasmiled.org and Dr.phil.com.
And we want you to create a video telling us your story, including what you would do with the grant if won, and the biggest challenge your campus is facing regarding sexual violence and relationship abuse.
And I am proud to say When Georgia Smiled has partnered with participant media, TakePart.com, Pivot TV, and Students of the World to create awareness about these important issues.
I want to thank all of my guests today. A very special thanks to Miles Adcox and Onsite, as well as the Lawless PNP Center for helping our guests today. Also, I'd like to thank Margaret and Adam from Laura's House. And if you at home want to download your own version of the Aspire Initiative, which is a very exciting curriculum designed by Robin and her team to stop domestic violence for all ages, go to whengeorgiasmile.org and drphil.com. Remember, it's free. You can also visit iTunes or the Android App Store to download the free Aspire app to your smartphone. And this is breakthrough technology that could save your life the moment the abuse is occurring. We don't like to say too much about everything it does on the air because we don't want to educate abusers. But go find the Aspire app and see what it does. It sends out a warning for help at a time when you might most need it. Thanks for being here. So long.
Dragged 20 feet.
How did you wind up out in the parking lot in a brawl?
A family torn apart.
I felt the wheel run up my leg.
And pointing fingers
I did blame Lisa for what had happened to my dad.
at the bride.
What do you think she's covering up? Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I hate to see people suffering, and you've heard long enough.
Stand by, Dr. Phil. Wilson, take
I'm going to get you the help that you need.
five.
The flowers, the cake, the gown, the glitter, and glamour of getting married. It's supposed to be the best day of a bride's life, right? I mean, you guys thought about this when you were young. But my guest Lisa says it was the absolute worst day of her life. Just 8 months ago, Lisa married Levi in what she described as a fairy tale wedding. Her Uncle Bill walked her down the aisle. Everyone was smiling and having a great time. The bride was thrilled. Her big day was going so smoothly. That is, until the reception. And then all of a sudden, fists were flying immediately after that first dance. Police were called, and her dress became evidence in a trial. I mean, look, see the big tear here in the side, and down here, just all ripped up. What could have caused a beautiful bride to be dragged 25 feet down the road by a car? That's right. Take a look at what led up to Lisa being dubbed the bride who was run over by a minivan.
My Uncle Bill has always been a father figure to me. My biological father was not in my life, and my Uncle Bill has been there for me. We've always had a strong bond. We would laugh, joke around. He was my rock. He was someone I could always lean on. And if I had any problems, he would fix it. I was 16 when I moved in with my aunt and uncle. I was going through that rough time as a teenager, and my Uncle Bill allowed me to move in with him. My aunt and uncle were my on-earth guardian angels. Since I've always been close with my uncle, I had always wanted him to help me walk down the aisle on my special day. I had envisioned my wedding as the enchanted forest. I wanted my guests to walk in and feel like it was magical all around them and that they escaped from the real world just for that little time. I woke up on my wedding day. My Aunt Nellie was there along with my grandmother. My grandmother had brought the pearls that were my great-grandmother's, and she put them on my neck, and of course they all started to cry. And it was just a really good feeling knowing that I had all that family support. We got married at Eagle Point Park at the castle, so it was like a real fairy tale wedding. It was almost like a dream come true. Two very important men in my life, my uncle and my stepdad, both walked me down the aisle. After the ceremony, we went to the wedding reception. We toasted, cut the cake. We were having a lot of fun, and then
That wonderful feeling I had soon turned to sadness and anger. My wedding day was the best day of my life until it became the worst day of my life.
She says worst day of her life because her wedding celebration ended in chaos. Take a look.
My wedding day was a real-life nightmare. 2 uninvited guests, Christopher and a female, came to the wedding. They ended up getting into a verbal argument with my husband, Levi's father. Michael, another invited guest, started making some lewd comments to underage girls. All 3, Michael, Christopher, and the female, were asked to leave. All 3 eventually came back. A fight ensued. I saw my stepdad come into the reception hall holding his eye with blood dripping down his face. I called 911 and said, "We need an officer, there's fighting." I pushed Christopher and I told him, "You're ruining my wedding." That's when everything started to get crazy. My Uncle Bill was trying to break up the fight. Christopher grabbed a hold of my Uncle Bill's shirt and pulled him into the minivan. I was over on the driver's side.
The door was shut, the window was down, and somebody had a hold of the back of my head, pulling on my hair and striking me in the face.
The female driver shut the door. My dress had gotten caught and gunned it. I was dragged 20 feet.
And when they pulled forward, I went underneath the passenger side, rolled down onto my right leg. My right leg went under the minivan. I felt the wheel run up my leg, across my groin.
I can't believe that I was that bride that got run over by a minivan.
Well, Lisa's wedding dress was caught in the driver's side door, and her right foot was run over. So Bill was on the other side of the van. It ran over his right leg, crushing his pelvis and breaking his hip joint. He walked Lisa down the aisle, but now he can barely walk. 8 months later, Bill and his wife Nellie say they cannot get over what happened.
Since the accident, Lisa's turned her back on all of us.
While I was in the hospital, Lisa said she would help out with the family. As soon as I returned home, Lisa had made herself more scarce.
Every time that we get together, we always talk about the wedding. And it's nothing good about the wedding. It's always the bad parts and the struggles. I just feel like it's easier to disengage myself and not having to listen to it.
If my husband was in the room, she would go in the next room. And my husband would joke after what, "I guess I'm home, Lisa's leaving now." He'd say it's like she hates me. Is it because her wedding got ruined because I got ran over?
The family can be a little insensitive to what had happened that day because this was my wedding day and I also got run over.
It makes me feel horrible. We didn't intentionally ruin her wedding by Bill getting run over. Why are you treating us like you don't even know us?
My aunt and uncle tell me that I've been distant and that I don't come over and call anymore, but they do the same with me. It makes me feel like they really do blame me.
Well, Lisa's grandmother, Teresa, who is also Bill's mom, thinks Lisa is being self-centered and forgetting that Bill's life has changed forever.
What was supposed to be the most beautiful day turned into the most nightmarish evening. The night Bill was run over changed Bill and his family's life forever. My son has sustained lifelong, life-changing injuries, and my granddaughter Lisa just doesn't seem to really care. All Lisa cares about is her new life and her world. Out of everyone involved in that whole incident, Bill's daughter, Dixie, held the most resentment. Dixie really resented Lisa for the injuries that her daddy got at Lisa's wedding. And I know she worries whether or not her daddy's going to be able to walk her down the aisle at her wedding. If I could talk to Lisa bluntly about everything that has happened, I'd say, wake up, Lisa. Bill is not okay. Bill's family is not okay. You, however, are okay. And you need to step up to the plate and help them be okay. I suspect that Lisa may still be friends with the people who did this to her Uncle Bill. We've questioned Bill and Nell and I because of Lisa's silence. It makes you wonder, was there something that Lisa was trying to kind of cover up?
Okay, well, we're going to try and sort this out. I'm obviously sorry that this happened, and Bill, I'm certainly sorry that you have some long-term injuries here. This crushed your pelvis, broke your hip bone, right?
Yeah, I crushed the pelvis and numbness from my knees to my waist.
So, how did all of this happen? Do you have the wrong friends?
No, we actually don't hang out with the people that were in the van at all. And they were told to stay away from me, my husband, and the rest of my husband's family.
Now, you're the bride, and you're inside. How did you wind up from that first dance floor to out in the parking lot in your wedding dress in a brawl? Why did you go outside?
I was on the dance floor, and I heard that there was commotion going on outside. I watched my dad hold his eyes, seeing the blood dripping down his face, and I ran outside to see what was going on. I could hear Christopher saying some awful things to Levi and his family, and I ran and I pushed him.
And you were already out there, right?
Yes.
You were trying to break up the fight.
Yeah, I just wanted the whole day just to go
You're just trying to calm
away,
everybody
yeah.
down, right? Get everybody backed off and calm down.
I just wanted everybody just to have a nice night. I wanted them to leave and everybody go back in and finish their night.
You punched the female driver.
Yes, I did. How did it get to that point?
Yeah, well, you seem like a very nice lady.
I actually
and
am.
You're out punching a lady in a minivan? Okay, all right. Coming up, the family member who blames Lisa for this disaster. You're going to find out why.
I was really jealous of Lisa when I was younger. My parents were really close with her. When I found out that Lisa asked my dad to walk her down the aisle, I felt like I already shared my parents enough with her. I did blame Lisa for what had happened to my dad.
On a summer night in June, just 8 months ago, Lisa's dream wedding turned into a nightmare. She and her Uncle Bill were trying to stop a fight at the reception. And in the process, a minivan ran over both of them. Now, Bill's injuries are chronic, severe, life-changing. He can't feel from his hip to his knees anymore. Bill's daughter, Dixie, says, look, her dad is not the same. And to be honest, she says, I blame Lisa. Take a look.
I was 12 or 13 when Lisa came to live with us. I was really jealous of Lisa when I was younger. My parents were really close with her. At certain times, I thought Lisa got more attention. I did not want to share my parents with Lisa at all. When I found out that Lisa asked my dad to walk her down the aisle, I felt like I already shared my parents enough with her. I didn't think it was fair to me as an older daughter. That's something really special. I wanted my dad to walk me down the aisle first. In the past, I did blame Lisa for what had happened to my dad. I was really angry with her. You know, my dad walked you down the aisle, my dad got hurt at your wedding. After the accident, I did not want to see her. I had to leave the room. I can stand and be around her now. I just don't talk to her. If she says something to me, I'll answer her back, but otherwise we just don't talk. I've never spoken to Lisa about the tension between us.
You know, there hasn't been enough communication in this situation. Everybody's just kind of denying and turning away from it. You blame her. Yeah. Let's just get it out. Why do you blame her?
I think if she would have never pushed him, I think things would have been different.
Okay, you think she pushed Chris when she didn't need to, because the fact of the matter is, Chris was talking to who at the time?
Levi.
He was talking to Levi. This is Levi down here. How you doing? He was talking to your new husband at the time, and actually, it was calming down. There wasn't a conflict with Chris at the time. Is that correct?
No, tensions were definitely starting to rise at the time.
They were starting to rise,
yes,
but they hadn't?
They hadn't escalated to the point.
They hadn't escalated to that point. But then she comes in and pushes Chris, and what ensues then, as far as you know?
His wife or girlfriend got really mad and upset, and then she wanted to go after Lisa, and Levi didn't let her go after Lisa. That's when it started getting chaos.
Okay, were you out there?
Yes.
Was there anybody left in the reception? You were in there?
I was still putting food away.
You were still putting food away. All right, so you're in there cleaning up and fixing up, and what were you doing out there?
Trying to tell my dad to get back.
Trying to pull your dad back in before he gets in the middle of all of this melee. You're the one that took it from verbal to physical?
I did.
Because so far, everybody's just saying, yeah. And then you shove somebody, and that takes it to another level, right?
You know, I think anybody under the kind of stress that I was under probably would have done the same thing.
But you do understand that that may have been the spark that ignited that powder keg.
And I hold that guilt.
It's really hard to watch my dad limp and be in pain when he gets his leg spasms. And I just think things could have been different if she never would have shoved him. I don't think things would have broke out the way they did.
In fact, let me be clear about why Bill walked you down the aisle. Your father's not involved.
No.
And Bill and Nellie have been your family.
Yeah.
And Bill has really been in kind of a father role with you to the point of walking you down the aisle and giving you away at your wedding. Do you resent him walking her down the aisle? You said that was something that should be reserved for you.
It bothered me, but I'm glad he did it.
You're saying she got the healthy dad, you get the broken dad.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
And that's why I hold guilt. That's why I never go there, because I do feel bad. I know, you know, I grew up with these girls. You know, I want their day to be, you know, special, you know, just as special as mine was starting out.
You avoid him. You've admitted that you avoid him.
Yeah.
You know, they've kind of made a joke about it, like, well, I guess she's leaving. I'm coming in or whatever. And you say, well, they're the same way. They don't want to be around me. But how do you know? Because you admit that you run from him.
We know she has a lot of guilt, so, but it's like, she's always, when she moved in with us, I was there for her, and I didn't know that I needed someone to talk to, too. So I always relied on Lisa as much as she relied on me, and now it's like, I'm going through so much, and it's like, where is she at? I just don't feel like she's here.
So you guys feel like, hey, we were just there to honor her, wound up getting hurt, and we're now getting punished for it.
It feels like it because we miss her.
Wow. All right. Well, I've got a lot to say about guilt in general. Coming up, Lisa says, actually, she wants to have another wedding. Wonder what the family thinks about that. And then we're going to talk about this guilt business. We'll be right back.
I think about my wedding every day. I look at my wedding pictures, and all I can think about is the accident. No bride should say they spent their wedding night in the hospital. My day was ruined. It makes me feel like I got robbed. I feel like, what about me? I feel since my day had gotten ruined that I do deserve another wedding day, another celebration.
Lisa is always posting things on Facebook about maybe having another wedding, and whether my parents go or not, I do not plan to attend.
She sends me pictures of dresses, and she's like, what do you think? Isn't this pretty? It makes me angry. Quite honestly, it makes me really angry. And I told her, after listening to it, I wouldn't go. I can't do another one of your weddings.
Well, Lisa says her wedding turned into the worst day of her life. She says it because she made the local news as, quote, the bride who was run over by a minivan on her wedding night. Now, Lisa says her entire family won't stop dwelling on the accident and how it's affected Bill. He can't feel his legs from his hip to his knees. He has trouble walking. He was fired from his job because of it. But Lisa says, well, what about me? I was run over too. She says she deserves another wedding. She wants a do-over. How do you feel about her position in all of this? You think she's being, well, you use your words, you said selfish.
Selfish. And I guess I really feel that, you know, we gave her a wedding. We can't help how it turned out. And unfortunately, I can't do it again. You know, I wanted Lisa to have the wedding of her dreams. And I wanted it the perfect day for her, for everything. But there's no way I can do it again.
Yeah. How do you feel about her reaction to all of this?
I feel like she's hiding. I feel like she's a young girl. She just got married. She has her life. She has the things she wants to do. But on the other hand, there's the long-lasting effects that are going over here. And I hear about how Lisa never comes around or she walks out without talking to him. And that's not the Bill and Lisa relationship that I know.
What do you think she's covering up?
I wasn't sure, you know, until she just spoke now that if she was still friends with the people who done this.
So why are you avoiding him?
You know, just like anyone, I mean, I don't want to walk in that house and watch him struggle. I mean, I feel bad for them because they have to watch it every day. And I do, I run from it. I'm not afraid to admit it. But, I mean, he was this most important man in my life, and now I watch him struggle, and he's such a hard worker, he doesn't deserve any of it.
So how does it then follow that you punish him by withdrawing your love, affection, and support? How is it, does it make sense to you that your reaction to it is, I know you got hurt at my wedding, in my service, actually, because you're trying to save the day so my wedding isn't marred. A, you're there to honor me walking me down the aisle. B, you're out there putting yourself in harm's way to try to save my day and my occasion. You get hurt, therefore, in my service. So I will punish you by withdrawing from you because I don't like to look at the aftermath?
It's not me punishing him, it's just when, you know, things
Do you feel punished?
I feel left out. I feel like she's drawing back away from me.
Yeah, okay.
And when I had problems, you know, before when I was younger, they know that I close out. They know that I shut the doors
That's
when
no
I
excuse.
shouldn't. I know, it's not.
That's no excuse. Two wrongs don't make a right.
I know.
So I'm asking you, how are you justifying reacting to them this way?
I guess just being a coward, not being able to stand up and, you know, take what happened.
Well, when we come back, Bill says he wonders if Nellie is going to ask for a divorce. I mean, this all trickles down. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Before the accident, I was extremely close to my wife. Now I find myself being more distant.
Because Bill doesn't have feeling from his waist to his knees, Bill thinks because we can't have sex anymore that our marriage is over.
It's hard not to be close to. I didn't run you over. It's like, sometimes it feels almost like I'm being punished too, quite honestly.
I feel guilty that I'm not showing the affection to my children and my wife that I used to be.
Bill said people with his injuries usually divorce their spouse in a year. He's like, you'll end up leaving me in a year. And so I feel like he's testing me and waiting for the year to be over.
She's stayed by me the whole entire time, but it's on my part where all the stress and everything with whether or not financially or physically, I'm going to be able to get back to where we were.
I feel like I'm trying to hold everybody together. And it's like how much longer, you know, before, you know, Lisa starts talking to us and Bill starts laughing again. How much longer?
Nellie, what do you want to see happen?
I want my husband to laugh and joke around and not snap all the time and not sit on the other couch. I want Lisa to come over and go on walks with me. I just want my family back.
Bill, how about you? What's on your wish list here?
I'd like to get my relationship back with my family. I'd like to get back to work and be able to support my family.
Are you keeping up with your rehab and doing your appointments and things of that nature?
It's been hard because lately we haven't had the money for it.
The answer to that is no.
We can't
There's no
afford
insurance.
We can't afford for him to go to physical therapy because it's due, like he said, like Bill said, do we go to physical therapy or do we buy groceries? I mean, quite honestly, so he doesn't go and I watch him struggle just to go up the steps and he needs to go to therapy, but he can't. He feels he can't. And I feel guilty because he's not in therapy, and I feel guilty because, you know, I think, do I need to work more hours? And I keep smiling and laughing, trying to make everybody fine, and I go to bed and I can't sleep because it's like a ton of bricks on my shoulders, it feels like.
And this is killing you watching it happen.
one of the worst things I think that's ever happened in my life. A day that was supposed to be my first granddaughter being married, wearing my mother's pearls, and watching my son walk her down the aisle like I knew both of them wanted it. And then to see one of them on the ground, my son laying there screaming in pain, and hearing people yelling, "Stop, stop." And I run around the other side, and there's Levi rushing to Lisa. She had been drugged on the ground. And which one do you take care of? Because you love them both so much. And the relationships that are just being hurt so bad by all of this.
And how about you? What do you want?
You know, I would like our relationship to go back to normal, and I think the only way to fix that is if I can learn to deal with the guilt, if I can learn to, look past, what happened and, try to see, instead of, Bill limping, maybe Bill getting better, maybe him, succeeding in life and doing the things he wants to. Because I don't like hearing about those things because it's hard.
She does when she comes over, and Bill, he talks about the accident, and I know that bothers Lisa, and I tried changing the subject. I can just see it in her eyes, and she wants to run. I mean, you can just see it.
When adversity comes into people's lives, and it comes into all of our lives, right? With families, it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to be a wedge that drives you apart, or it's going to be the glue that binds you together.
And I see the wedge right now.
And right now, it is a wedge, right? It's not the glue. And, coming up, Teresa says Bill lost everything that day, and all Lisa can think about is herself. So what should she be doing? What should she be thinking about? And what I think Bill should be doing. We'll talk about that after the break. Lisa and Levi's special wedding day spiraled out of control, sending Lisa and her Uncle Bill to the hospital after a fight broke out at the reception. Our Twitter sphere's been watching this show. NPR Mommy says, it is not the bride's fault that her uncle has withdrawn from the family. He is making choices on how to live his life. Ann Bridges, 222, says, she definitely needs to step up and support her uncle for all that he's done for her. And then Lucille Z says the only thing's worse than dwelling on this for 8 months would be to dwell on this for 8 months and 1 day. That's just calling both of y'all out to deal with this situation instead of suffering it. And listen, there's a difference between dealing with something and suffering from something. It's two very different things. People say time heals all wounds. Let me tell you, it's what you do with that time. It's not the passage of time. You can feel terrible for 1 week, and then 20 weeks later, you can just be doing that same week the 20th time. You've got to progress on. Look, guilt is one of the most selfish emotions you could ever imagine. Because, Tricia, let's say you and I are friends, and we're out, and I'm feeling guilty about something. What kind of companion am I to you? I mean, I'm like sitting over here, and you say, hey, Doc, let's go walk over by the lake and get an ice cream cone. No, you go ahead. I don't deserve one. So now you're over there sitting there by yourself with ice cream running down your hand. You're the one that pays for my guilt. That's a selfish thing. It's an excuse to sit on the sidelines. Well, the truth is you're not a terrible person. You didn't run over Bill. You didn't run over yourself. Should you have pushed Chris? No. Should Chris have been there and be doing what he's doing? No. I mean, there's a lot of things that people shouldn't have been doing. But the truth is, we have more than an animalistic morality. We have to look at intent. What was your intent that day? Did you have any ill intent towards Bill?
No.
Do you have any ill intent towards them now?
No.
Did you have any intent to destroy your wedding and make it a chaotic fight in the parking lot? Of course not. You have to look at intentions here, right? Mm-hmm. And I just really want for you guys to think about one thing, and that is, if you allow this to deteriorate your family, if you allow this to come in and separate and break everything apart, then the bad guys win.
And that's what my husband tells me all the time.
Well, your husband's right, as husbands often are. So I really want you to decide that you're not doing this wedding over because it wouldn't erase it. I want you to decide that you're all in this together. You two are victims together here. And Bill, you do need help. I mean, look, I'm not a specialist in what your injuries are, but I know that you've got resources physically that you can work with, and you need to make that a priority. And we're going to see everything we can to help you do that and help you get back on track with that. We're going to see what we can do to help get you involved with the help that you need, physical therapy-wise, neurologically, otherwise. But you can't just choose depression about this and decide, well, you know, I'm screwed, because that's not true. You got to be a fighter here, and we're just going to give you some tools to fight with, okay?
That's my biggest thing. I want to get my family back and back to work.
Of course. Of course, and that's what we're going to do. And so, all right, we're going to talk to you about that after the show. But you got to take care of your body. You can build this back. And you quit running from this. Got it? When we come back, we're going to talk to a famous preacher's daughter that gets pregnant at 13, has a child at 14, waitressed in a strip club, dated an engaged man, and oh, so much more. Who is she, and what is her story? We'll be right back.
When I was 13, my father was on the cover of Time magazine as America's Best Preacher. I was 13 years old when I got pregnant. We all sat down as a family, and what I remember most about their reaction is the silence. I felt nothing but shame.
By the time my next guest was 13 years old, her father was on the cover of Time magazine, being touted as the next Billy Graham, a famous preacher father. Oprah Winfrey dining at their home, a seemingly picture-perfect life. Then how was it that at just 13, she also found herself pregnant and having a baby?
My parents have written best-selling books. My father has won Grammy Awards and even been honored by the NAACP.
I'm through pretending. Do it for me. This is me. This is who I am.
My parents have traveled the world, empowering people with a message of hope.
Let your spirit fall on me again.
Oprah has dined at our home, but still, I ended up pregnant at 13. When I was 13, my father was on the cover of Time magazine as America's Best Preacher. As my father's ministry continued to grow, everything that we did was under intense scrutiny. When I turned 13 years old, I found myself trapped between the Sarah part that just wanted to be me, or the Jake's part that had this mandate that I be in ministry. As the pastor's daughter, of course, it naturally made me a leader, but I had no idea what it meant to lead. When I first found out I was pregnant, we all sat down as a family, and what I remember most about their reaction is the silence. I felt nothing but shame. There was a lot of tension at the church. People were staring at me. I was 14 when I had my son Malachi. I met Robert the end of my freshman year at Texas Christian University. Robert was a football player and went on to play for the Washington Redskins. I made the decision to drop out of college. I ended up waitressing at a strip club for about 2.5 months. My parents found out. I ended up marrying Robert. I had really begun to accept that our relationship was beyond repair. I had made the decision to divorce.
I don't know why you went through what you went through, but I know that there's something in you, and your pain has a purpose, and you're not leaving here until you find out what God placed inside of you.
I wanted to write my book Lost and Found because I recognize so well what it's like to be lost. And I wanted to encourage someone else who maybe feels like they're just as lost, that they haven't been lost alone, and that if I am finding my way, that they can begin their journey as well.
Sherry, it's good to have you here. I've known you a good while, and you know I'm very close friends with your parents. What was the reaction in your family when you told them you were pregnant at 13? Do you remember the moment that you told them?
I didn't actually tell them. My sister wrote them a letter, an anonymous letter, and placed it in our mailbox. But because we don't actually receive mail to our home, my parents knew that it was from one of us. And so she was the only one wise enough at the time to include adults.
Yeah, I know that Cora actually wrote the letter. Cora, hi, Cora.
Hello.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Now, but you knew she was writing the letter?
No, she
So
did
you
not
were just
discuss
ratting her
that.
out.
Yes, snitching.
I'm so glad you. I'm so glad you wrote that letter.
Yes, I felt like the benefits of her getting prenatal care outweighed the risk of us possibly losing our friendship at the time.
Yeah. So you come home and they've read the letter.
Yeah, a warning would have been nice.
Yeah. So take me through that conversation. You walk in the door, they've gotten the letter, they've read it. Who was there?
My siblings, I have my sister, and then I also have 3 brothers.
Right.
And so my mother told me, we have this letter, and it says that you're pregnant. And the moment that they said it, I started crying. I told them that it was true. And it's, like I said, I remember them being completely silent for a very long time, which I know may not be a big deal in most homes, but when your father speaks for a living, to render him speechless is quite the task.
I've never been around the bishop when he was
It doesn't
speechless.
happen often.
So what was their reaction once they did begin to speak?
Extremely disappointed. I was 14 years old. No one dreams that their child will have a child at that age. And so, you know, I believe for a very long time they grieved the dream that they thought would be for their daughter. And then once we got through that, and it was a process, we started looking at the practical matters of it, the health care and school education.
Started working the problem.
Right.
You describe this, and this is what I want parents to hear. You describe this as puppy love, sex, and those don't seem to go in the same sentence, but unfortunately they do.
Yeah.
And did anybody in your family have any idea that you had become sexually active at that point?
No, no one knew.
No one knew. And having been in the environment that you're in, and let me define what I mean by that, because I've actually shared the pulpit with your dad and Sarita at your church, and I know that this is a very hands-on, real-world ministry, meeting people where they are. And I know that they talk about premarital sex. I know they talk about teen sex. I know they talk about all that. You had been exposed to all of this growing up, but yet you still put yourself in harm's way. How do you see that looking back?
Well, I think that we all have our own journeys. You know, I know that it was something that we spoke about a lot in our ministry, but just because my parents are preaching about it doesn't mean that I will live by it. That's the reality of it, that we all find out on our own. And so I knew that it was against what our ministry stood for, but still made the conscious decision to have sex anyway.
Well, you know, you entitled the book Lost and Found, and by the way, this is a candid book. It is very, I mean, her willingness to take a look at herself and describe where she was going through. In here, you talk about, it's called Lost and Found, and in the lost part, you talk about the fact that your self-esteem was so low that you would take love at any level.
When you're down so low, you'll accept anything that feels good, even if it's not necessarily good for you. And so I see why you end up drinking, you end up on drugs, or in my case, sex, or anything that reminds you that you're still there, you're still human, and that you're going to be okay.
Did you feel love from your parents?
I did. I certainly felt love for them, but I didn't feel worthy of the love that I received from them.
Okay, because that's an interesting point, because knowing TD and Sarita both, and knowing that they're very loving, in fact, very expressive loving, very hands-on, and so you did feel that love, but you say you didn't feel worthy of that love.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can love you enough to make you love yourself.
Well, I know Sarah has a huge social media following, as does our show. So send your questions for Sarah via Twitter or Instagram using #teen. When we come back, we'll do that. So we'll be right back. Now, we're talking about Sarah Jake's book, Lost and Found, and I read this in one sitting, by the way, and I think you will as well. Now, we ask our social media fans who are watching along at home to send Sarah questions, and let's look at a question via Twitter. Here's the first one. At Vicky Whitworth, what is the most important message you would send to 12-year-old Sarah if you were given the opportunity? What would you say to yourself back then if you could?
I would say that it's okay to be comfortable in your own skin and not be understood by everyone else. I think that we strive for so long to live a life that everyone else will accept that we don't really accept ourselves.
Is there anything that anybody could have said to you at the time that would have kept you from getting pregnant at 13?
I don't think so.
Viewers also sent in video questions via Instagram. Here's one that just popped up from a viewer. This is from Nikki_Dennis.
Hi, Dr. Phil. Sarah, I was wondering if you are teaching your son abstinence or if you will be teaching him about sex and birth control. Thank you.
Oh, wow, good question.
Yeah, I don't think I have to pick. I believe that I can teach him both. I know that in school they're going to talk about protection and stuff, and I don't want that to be the only source that he hears it from, but certainly I will teach him abstinence and that, our beliefs dictate that, but also that I'll make sure that he recognizes that he can talk to me about anything at home.
Yeah. And you are absolutely using your experiences along the way, both good and bad, to have an impact now. So, all right, the book from Sarah Jakes is Lost and Found, Finding Hope in the Detours of Life. And you're going to love this, I promise you. Look, I want to thank all of my guests today. Also, special thanks to Sarah Jakes. Her book, Lost and Found, Finding Hope in the Detours of Life, is in bookstores now. And I know what you're waiting for. The answer is yes. Everybody in the audience is getting a copy of her book. For information on today's show, please go to drphil.com. Thanks for being here. Sarah, thank you so much. We'll come get you. Thanks a lot. Thanks, guys.
Couldn't get away.
Sexually assaulted him.
He said you used one arm to pin him down, the other one to unzip his pants.
I didn't force myself on him.
Chris is on the phone, so you're okay with her becoming a registered sex offender and going to the penitentiary?
For all the things that I went through, yes.
Let's do it. If we're going to do something here that matters, then we got to deal with the truth.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
If I can help get this family back on track, are you willing to do that?
Ready, free, take.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Go, Dr. Phil.
Well, now I'm going to tell you, you may have heard about my guests today, but they say they wish you hadn't heard of them. In our first story, it's not every day you hear about a man being raped by a woman. But Chris claims his ex-girlfriend Jessica raped him and got pregnant in the process. Take a look.
A young father claims he was raped by an old girlfriend and he doesn't think he should have to pay child support.
She climbed into my lap and I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "Well, you know you want me." I said, "No, I don't."
Chris claims he was raped by his old girlfriend, Jessica Fuller.
A guy not wanting to have sex with somebody, that seems impossible.
Chris says one night, in the backseat of a friend's car, it happened.
I kept trying to fight her off, slammed the hand over the lock. I tried to get out, I couldn't get away.
She got pregnant and had their son Joshua. Chris was never a part of his son's life. Now the state of Michigan wants Chris to start paying child support.
I'm the victim of a crime. Why should I have to pay the perpetrator?
Well, Jessica says the sex was consensual, and Chris never mentioned rape until he was faced with having to pay child support.
When Chris and I first started dating, we were both 14. When it came to contraception, we didn't use anything. We were together for about 3 years before I had gotten pregnant. He claimed that I got pregnant because I raped him. Chris never had to fight me off. He never had to tell me stop in any way. Neither one of us ever said no. It was in a hospital when I told Chris that I was pregnant, and he said, "I can't believe this," and he stormed out of the room and he screamed at his mother in the hallway and said, "She's pregnant again," and he left me there. I never asked Chris for child support. I told him that I had to fill out papers for it, and he denied that it was even his son. I learned that Chris claimed that I raped him through a reporter. I was stunned. I would never think that somebody would ever use something as serious as being raped to try to use it for their own personal gain, just so they don't have to send a check every month.
Okay, Jessica is here with me. Chris is on the phone listening, and I'm going to be talking with him in a bit. But we heard his tape piece first, yours second, so I want to talk to you first and then him second, because I want to keep everything balanced here. Do you say you did not rape him because you just think the concept of a woman raping a guy is just not credible, that just doesn't happen?
No, absolutely not. I know it can happen. You know, anything is, definitely possible. Anybody can be raped. I say it didn't happen because I did not force myself. It was 100%, we both agreed to it 100%. Whether a child came out of it or not, shouldn't have any bearing on what he has with his son, what kind of relationship he has with Joshua.
Okay, but you have said some things to us and to other media along the way that I've put together that, with my understanding of the definition of rape and consensual, sound very close to you fitting the definition. And I'm not saying that was your mindset, not saying that was your intent,
right,
but I'm trying to find out what was really going on here. Now, you guys have dated on and off for like 3 years, right?
Yes.
And I think Chris said that you guys have broken up like 25 times.
Yeah.
So this has been on again, off again.
Yes.
And so you were actually breaking up this night,
Yes, I broke up with him early that morning.
but yet you're having sex with him
We did.
in the back of the car that night.
We did have sex that
And
night.
you said that you initiated the sex.
No, it wasn't to be honest, I really don't remember who initiated what. I just remember us making out on it's kind of like a balcony thing. You can go, up the stairs to look over the water, and that's where it started.
Uh-huh. But that's not where it ended.
No, that's not where it ended.
Where did it end?
It ended in my friend's car.
In the back seat of the car?
Yes.
Okay. And the first time you had sex, it was in the back seat of the car?
Yes, in the back seat of his car.
Yeah. Have you ever heard that old saying, get a room?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you haven't been charged with any crime here, so you're not facing any criminal responsibility here. But you had gotten pregnant earlier that year.
Yes, I did.
And you had a miscarriage.
Yes.
Sorry for your loss on that. I'm sorry that happened to you. And this was a couple of months later, right?
It was a month later when I had conceived again.
Okay. And your doctor had said that post-miscarriage that you would be extremely fertile.
Right.
Right? That there's high risk here. Okay. And you had sex with him. You're in charge of your body. He's in charge of his. That's
Correct.
my view. Okay. Now, you're in charge of your body. Did you want to get pregnant?
No, I did not
Did
want
you
to get
want to have a
pregnant.
baby with the boy you broke up with that morning?
No.
Then why are you having sex with him in the back seat of a car that night with no birth control whatsoever?
To be honest, I don't know. I
Well,
wasn't
I don't know
thinking.
isn't an answer. You had no birth. You were taking no birth control.
No, I was not.
He had no condom.
No.
You didn't even make an effort to control it. So this is what I'm trying to get to. You get in the back seat with this guy, and you get on top of him, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said you crawled on top of him.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, and you knew, you had a medical professional tell you are extremely fertile, you have no birth control whatsoever, and you consciously, willfully, purposefully have sex with this guy.
Yes.
Did you fail to take proper care against getting pregnant?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you were definitely negligent.
Yes.
Okay, and so when you got on top of him, was he aware that you were
Yes.
highly fertile?
Yes, he was.
And
he was there in the
did he
hospital.
ever at any point say, stop?
He did tell me to stop. He did. He said, whoa, hold on a second.
Okay, so he did say, stop, hold on, wait a minute.
Yes.
And then you wound up finishing anyway.
Yep, yep.
Because he said that, wait a minute, hold on, I want out of here. No, this is not a good idea. Don't want to do this. Don't want to be a dad. Don't want to get pregnant. Not ready for that. He reached for the door and he says, you reach over and slam the lock down.
No.
Put your hand on the lock and said, and so the door didn't work.
No.
That didn't happen.
No. Okay. No, he was very much stronger than I was.
Mm-hmm. Well, but you were on top of him.
Yes, but there was enough room in the vehicle for him to push me off. There was enough room for him to get away, if that were the case.
He said you used one arm to pin him down, the other one to unzip his pants while you were sitting on top
Wow.
of him.
I sound pretty crafty. No, that never happened.
I'm just asking.
Never.
I'm just asking because it seems to me like you were being pretty reckless that night.
I was, yes.
We've agreed that you were reckless, that you were negligent.
Yes.
And the question is, did you coerce?
No,
which would
I
equate
definitely,
to rape.
I definitely, made some bad choices that night. Everybody's done it, but that night was not, I didn't physically force myself on him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that dominating. I'm not. I did not do that. If he would have said, no, get off, I want out, I would have gotten off and he would have gotten out.
Now, you said he never brought this up until you filed for child support.
Yes.
But he says that he, in fact, contacted the sheriff's office a few weeks afterwards.
Why wasn't I arrested? Why wasn't I ever spoken to? I never had anything until a few months ago when I heard about it in an article when a reporter called me.
Quick poll in the audience. If you think it's possible for a woman to rape a man, raise your hand. That's almost everybody. If you think, no, don't get it, not possible, raise your hand. That's a few think, no, not possible. So most people think that it is, at least conceptually, a possibility. All right, we have to take a break, and I want to hear what Chris has to say about this. We'll be right back.
After I told Chris that the state was requiring me to go after him for child support, he called me names like, you nasty bitch, you whore, he's not mine, you slut, you slept around. I'll just tell everybody that it was statutory rape. I won't have to pay a thing.
I'm the victim of a crime. Why should I have to pay the perpetrator?
I never thought that he would have went that low.
Well, that was Jessica talking about her ex-boyfriend Chris's reaction when she told him that he had to pay child support. Now, Jessica's here today because she wants people to know that she is not a rapist. And so your point is, if somebody gets on the internet and searches you up, bang, your name comes up associated with having raped someone.
Correct.
And so you're saying, I hate that. I don't want that to be the case. Now, Chris is on the phone, and he does not want to interact with you at this point.
It's fine.
So he's been listening to you, and you can listen to him, but if you will, you step to the side here conversationally and let me talk to Chris, and if he wants to say something to you, that's up to him. He can, but I told Chris it would just be he and I talking. Chris, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Have you been listening so far?
Yes, I have.
And what do you agree or disagree with that has been said?
Well, I disagree with the fact that she wanted to get pregnant because that was very obvious to everybody. It seemed to be, except for me. I mean, I had people telling me all the time that that's all that she wanted, and I kind of looked over it. I mean, she was the first girlfriend I'd ever had, and I put a lot of trust into her, even though, there was a lot of heartache on my part. I mean, she broke up with me constantly to be with other guys. So, also, not that it's a major thing, but I was 15 and she was 16. She was almost 16 when we met. There was never a conversation about finishing during what happened to me either. There was never anything like that. I said I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to do that. And the only coercion there was her saying, you want to continue, you want to keep going, and I didn't. I didn't want to be a dad. I did want to get out of the car, and there was not enough room to push her off because her back was against the passenger seat that was leaned back. I couldn't get out.
Okay, now at this point, so you're saying that Jessica is the first girl that you had sex with?
Yes.
At 15 years of age?
Yes.
And the two of you had gotten pregnant before. Was that your child?
See, that's the thing. I don't know because she also had a sexual relationship with other guys as well in between her relationship with me.
Now, is it your understanding that she had sex with you that night in the car, and if it was rape, that's not sex, that's rape. Those are two very different things.
Absolutely.
But for the purposes of this conversation, she had this interaction with you that night in the car, and then she went somewhere after you.
Yes.
And had sexual relations with someone else.
Just hours later.
Okay. Do you know that this baby in question is yours?
There was a paternity test done.
Okay,
yes.
so it definitely is yours. Okay, so I want to clear that up. Now, when you guys got out of the car, and you did get out of the car after this, correct?
Yes.
Were you asking her to come home with you?
No, not at all. We got back into the car. Our friends came back from the beach because that's where they were. They were down on the beach when this occurred. And in the time in waiting, I got out of the car. I sat on the back of the car with my head in my hands. I didn't speak to anyone. They came back. We got back in the car. They took me home and dropped me off.
Did you feel violated, or were you afraid that you had just gotten her pregnant because you knew she was high risk at that point?
No, I did feel violated because throughout our relationship, we had a consensual relationship prior to this. And, it seems like as soon as she got the miscarriage is when she got even more aggressive. I mean, she was always aggressive to begin with in our relationship, but it seems like this is where she took it to a whole nother level.
Did you guys ever live together after this incident?
Yes, because she didn't have anywhere else to go at the time, and my mother took her, and I hadn't told anybody at this point what had happened. I just wanted to block it out.
Well, isn't it kind of odd that you would move your rapist into your home?
Well, they see that wasn't my decision necessarily. That was more my mother's, because she was living with us before this happened, because her family had left her at the hospital when she had that miscarriage. So she moved in with us after the fact, and she moved out just about a day before this happened, and she had nowhere else to go after that, and my mother took her back. And like I said, after it happened, I didn't really know how to respond. I wanted to block it out. I wanted to pretend like it never happened.
Did you ever have sexual relations after the night in question?
No.
With her? You never had sex again?
No.
Jessica says that you were together for 3 months after this happened.
Yeah, there was 2 months.
2 months.
She was living here with, because she had nowhere else to go.
So did you get along?
There were times where things were okay, but for the most part, no.
Okay. Is rape too strong a word here? Was this something that you have some ownership in, no ownership in? Is rape too strong a word to use here?
No, I don't think it is, because I did, in fact, tell her no. I tried to get away from her, and I couldn't get away. I mean, I had no choice but to give up after fighting it for at least 10, 15 minutes. I couldn't get away.
Well, I have to ask the question that's on everybody's mind, because we're looking at a picture of you right now. You look to be a very nice-looking, clean-cut young man. You look to be very healthy and strong. I think it would beg the question, were you not able to overpower her, defend her, turn away from her, rotate your body to one side, do something to avoid this having happened?
What you see now is a product of a lot of hard work to get myself back into shape, because When this happened, I really was not a very big guy. I was about 150 pounds, if that. I wasn't very strong. I never lifted a weight in my life until just only less than 2 or 3 years ago. I was not a strong guy, and after the fact of everything that happened, I blew up in weight. I gained about 70 pounds, just from sheer depression, and you know, I basically fed my feelings. I blew up, and it's not until about 2009 that I finally started to lose weight and get control of my health and my own weight again. And I feel now that I have to go to the gym to maintain some kind of strength. I don't know if it's something that's subconscious because of what happened, but, you know, that's just how I am now.
Do your parents believe that you were raped?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, she admitted in our living room in front of my parents that she had said, you know, that I had said no during this whole thing and that I tried to get away.
We'll be right back. Now, you understand that rape is a felony, right?
Absolutely, yes.
And that if she is convicted of rape, I mean, if someone said, okay, you know, we're going to start drilling down on this, figure out that she raped this young man, that's a felony. She could wind up being a registered sex offender and do any number of years in the state penitentiary for a felony.
Yes. Is
that your hope and intent here?
Honestly, for what happened to me, yes.
Okay. So you're okay with her becoming a registered sex offender and going to the penitentiary?
For all the things that I went through and the psychological damage that I went through, yes. I know that there's other guys that she's been in relationships with that she was very aggressive in, that I've spoken to. So I know that I'm not the only one who's gone through at least the aggressive part of her. I just think I caught the extreme.
Okay, and what is your son's name?
Joshua.
And how is your relationship with him?
I've never, I mean, I think I met him one time when he was an infant, but I've never had any interaction with him.
But you understand he is your biological child, even though you believe he was a product of rape?
Yes, and that's why it's been such a difficult thing to cope with. You know, a lot of people say to me, how can you not be a part of this child's life? But the thing is that, yes, he's an innocent child, but I'm also innocent as well.
Okay, but we can agree he's done absolutely nothing wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, and if his mother goes to the penitentiary and becomes a registered sex offender, then what will happen to the child?
See, that's where I'm not sure, because I know that with everything that happened, I'm not a unbiased person with him. You know, I don't think that it would be fair for him to grow up with a father who went through what he did, and you know, that now he is a product of this rape.
This happened in, was this in January of '06?
This happened, the exact date is, I don't really remember the exact date. It was towards the very end of 2005 or the very beginning of 2006.
Okay, and you did not level these rape allegations until '09?
Well, yeah, officially, yeah, in the courtrooms, yes, that's when it got out that way. But no, I had been talking to people, and everybody knew what happened, you know, only a few short months after it did happen.
Uh-huh. And, of course, her position, and I'll let you respond to this, her position is that your allegation of rape coincided with her move to get child support from you, and that the one defense against liability for child support is that this was non-consensual, and so you didn't willingly participate in the making of this child.
Yeah, that is an absolutely false statement.
Well, no, that's not false as to the law.
No, not to the law, no.
You're saying it's false that that's why you brought it forward.
Exactly. I mean, I look at it this way, you know, I'm married to a woman who has 2 children that are not mine, that I'm taking care of, that they don't even get child support. You know, if it was trying to get away from a child, why would I get myself involved in a relationship with 2 children that aren't mine?
Uh-huh. And I understand that you've had a legal setback in that the court has denied your motion to dismiss her claim for child support.
Yes.
So a court has deemed that the test of the law was not met and that you owe the child support.
Yes, and that is what I'm currently paying right now.
Okay. If she dropped her claim for child support, would you drop your allegation of rape?
I don't think that I could do that.
Okay, I'm not suggesting, I'm just asking.
No.
Do you feel that I've given you a fair opportunity to state your side of the case?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to take a break and let you continue listening, and if I have a question, I may come back to you.
Okay.
After the break, I'm going to let Jessica respond, and we're going to hear what a witness has to say. Well, some days on the Dr. Phil Show, we talk about really unusual things, and it is unusual for a male to claim that he has been raped by a female. Now, I will tell you that if you search the medical and psychological and sociological literature, you will find a number of experts that will tell you that this is possible. And you might say, well, you know, how? Because the man has to be aroused. But the truth is that a man can be aroused involuntarily in some respects, in part due to sexual stimuli, in part due to adrenaline, excitement, any number of things. So I think the consensus among experts, at least physiologically, is that this is certainly a possibility. Is it what happened in this case? That's what we're trying to figure out. Jessica has a witness who was there the night Chris says that he was raped. Now, Kim is joining us on the phone. Kim, what happened that night?
Well, I'm not sure what happened previous in the day. I do know Chris and Jessica were no longer dating. My boyfriend at the time and I had picked up Jessica and Chris, and we all went to the beach. They had already started making out in the back seat and kind of getting a little into it. So as soon as we parked, my boyfriend and I had gotten out of the vehicle and walked towards the beach. We ended up just sitting on a bench. Well, we had seen them in the back of the car, and we saw their silhouettes, you know, moving in motions and everything. Once they had finished, they had gotten out, so we had walked back to the car. Everything seemed fine. We all got back into the vehicle. We conversed a little, then we kind of split off into our own personal conversations. Once we had dropped Chris off, he got upset. I believe Jessica had said they were talking about her staying the night with him, so he was upset because she didn't want to stay. Well, my boyfriend had dropped us off to my vehicle. Jessica and I drove to her house, which she rented with the boy that we went to school with. They had ended up starting to make out and get into it, so therefore they went off into the room, and they had sex also that night. And I believe it wasn't until a few weeks after that that nothing became an issue until after Chris had found out about that night.
So you think when he found out that she had sex with someone else, he got offended then?
Yes.
Uh-huh. But that's just conjecture on your part.
Yes.
Did he seem upset when you returned to the car?
Not until the end of the car ride when she had told him no, she didn't want to stay the night at his house.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's when he got upset. He wasn't upset when you got back, because he said he was sitting on the back of the car holding his head in his hands, and he was upset.
He was sitting on the back of the car, but he didn't seem any out of ordinary than just after being exhausted from what he had just done.
So you just don't think it happened in this circumstance?
I do believe that it didn't happen only because I know a few times we had talked Chris into skipping school, and they've had sex in the back of my car at the beach.
Chris, is there anything you'd like to say in response to Kim's comments?
Well, I mean, for one, the whole thing where they were talking, where she was just mentioning about at the end of the conversation, or at the end of the car ride where I got into an argument with her, I never said anything the entire car ride because of how upset that I was. You know, I had nothing to say to anybody. I was too upset by what happened. And everything that she is talking about that she says that she thinks happened, well, from the outside, it might have looked that way. But I was truly upset because of what had just happened.
And did you want her to stay with you that night?
No, absolutely not.
Leading up to the instance in the car, is it true that the two of you and Jessica, were in fact making out, kissing, hugging, all that sort of thing?
No.
Well, Jessica says you guys were making out ahead of time before you got there to the beach, and Kim says you were making out before you got to the beach. So I just need to be clear, are both of them lying in your view?
Yes.
So Jessica, what's going on here?
It is true, though. I did have sex with another man that night. Not proud of it, but I did. And the reason Chris left me was because of that specific reason. He was living with me at my house at the time. He had found out. I did deny it as much as I could because, you know, I was not proud of that night having sex with two men. Definitely was not proud of that. Chris was my first and only, especially when I got pregnant the first time. That night was the very first time I ever had sex with anyone else other than Chris.
Are you angry that you're being accused of this?
I'm very angry. I mean, rape is a very serious thing. You know, women and men go through it, you know, unfortunately, you know, every day it happens. But to be associated with something so disgusting, it's very, very sickening when nobody wants to believe you, when everybody takes one side and they don't care what the other side is. And when my children find that when they get older, you know, it's sickening to think what could happen because of, you know, him opening his mouth just for whatever reason, you know.
So what are you guilty of here?
I'm probably guilty of not being very responsible. Definitely guilty of letting my emotions and feelings of him and I get the best of me. Definitely guilty of being reckless. Thank you. But the one thing I'm definitely not guilty of is raping him.
Do you believe that he believes what he's saying?
I do.
So you believe that he believes he was raped?
Yeah.
So you don't think he's just making this up? You think he really is hurt by this?
I do.
And he really believes he was raped?
I do. I think he really does feel that he probably got taken advantage of that night. I really do.
Okay. And you agree that you may have initiated, you may have been the aggressor, but you don't think it went anywhere near
No,
what someone
not.
would think of as rape?
No.
And you agree that you were reckless?
Yes.
That you were negligent?
Mhm.
That you were irresponsible?
Yes.
Not once, but twice that night?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a lot of bad decisions made all the way around.
Yeah, there was.
Okay, well, we're going to talk more about this as the show unfolds, and you're going to hear some things about what you can do to help clean up this image that you think can stick with you for a long time in job interviews or whatever, if somebody does a search on you and then here this pops up.
Okay.
But you have no criminal charges pending at this
No,
point?
none.
All right. Okay, we're going to move on. If you found out your partner was cheating, what would you do? Well, my next guest did something that made international news. An exclusive interview with her next.
Your jilted mistress is getting revenge in a very big way. She's launched a very public campaign against the president of one of the world's largest tech firms.
His ex-girlfriend has plastered cities around the country with huge billboards showing them together in happier times.
You might remember my next guest, Yvonne. Her story made international news. Take a look.
From New York to San Francisco, one mistress turns a private breakup into public payback.
Yvonne Wilkins is the mistress. Charles Phillips, the head of Oracle Corporation, and married. Wilkins apparently had these billboards put up after Phillips reconciled with his wife.
After 8.5 years, I found out that Charles was still married. Because Charles was president of Oracle, It was extremely easy for him to mask his relationship with his wife. He would say to me, I have to go to Europe for 5 days. I have to go to Asia for 4 days. His excuses rolled off his tongue. Because of the red flags, I did hire a private investigator. What I found out was that Charles was still living with his wife. I just felt sick to my stomach. Because I wanted everyone to know that I had a significant relationship with Charles, I put the billboards up to tell everyone that I was this man's partner. I didn't put the billboards up to tell everyone I was a mistress. I loved him, and I thought he loved me.
Now, Yvonne says as soon as the billboards went up, her world came crashing down.
When the billboards went up and the media started attacking me, calling me a whore, they were calling me a homewrecker, it backfired. And I felt ashamed. I felt that I couldn't go outside, I couldn't leave my house. It was so hard just to walk my dogs every day. It's been 2 years since the billboards went up, and I am absolutely concerned that if I meet someone, whether it's a business associate or my next boyfriend, I'm afraid that the first thing they will do is Google me, because it's what people do these days. They Google everyone. And all that was up there was Yvonne, billboard mistress. Yvonne, Charles Phillips' scorned mistress. Yvonne, psycho. And I'm none of those things. I'm very smart, I'm very funny, and there's nothing that says that online.
Well, Yvonne hasn't spoken to any media in 2 years since everything happened. How is it going for you now?
So for the past 2.5 years, I've moved on. I've started multiple businesses and executive produced a documentary that kind of explains the billboard, what led to the billboard fiasco. And I've written a memoir.
So why talk about it now?
I'm ready to tell my story. I wasn't ready when it initially occurred in January of 2010 because I knew that there was no way I can tell this layered, complicated story in a 30-second interview with the various media outlets that were camping outside of my home and my parents' home.
So why did you put these billboards up?
This was my way to say I was significant. I was not a mistress. Because
you didn't think you were the other woman, and you came to California. You all bought a house together out here?
Yes.
For like $11 million?
Yes.
Tell me about the moment when you decided, I'm going to buy billboards in multiple cities and put this up there in like 20 by 60 foot sign.
I was driving down the highway and I noticed a billboard that his company had put up for their big annual conference in San Francisco. So I just thought, if Oracle can put up a billboard, I'm going to put up a billboard. And then I just let it go and moved on until the Tiger Woods issue happened. And I've been having unprotected sex with this man for 8.5 years, and I realized at that moment that, oh my God, I'm a mistress. I was a mistress. I wasn't his girlfriend. I was a mistress. And it made me feel sick. I'm a very strong woman. I'm a very intuitive woman. And when things don't feel right or smell right, I question it.
All right, we got to take a break. Coming up, Yvonne says she believed she was the only woman in her partner's life for over 8 years. We'll be right back.
When the Tiger Woods scandal happened, that's when it hit me that I was mistress. And never in 8.5 years did I ever feel led or made to feel like I was a mistress. I was led to believe that I was his partner, that I was his soulmate.
Well, that was Yvonne talking about her shock in realizing that her partner of 8 years had been cheating on her and, in fact, was still married. Now, this is the first time Yvonne's speaking out about her story. Would you put these billboards up again today?
Absolutely not. I immediately, within hours of the billboards going up in New York City, I felt extremely regretful, mostly because of what it was doing to Charles professionally. I never in a million years thought that anyone would notice the billboards because it's a picture of Charles and a picture of me. I mean, I drive on the highway every day. I'm sure I pass at least 50 billboards. I can't tell you what billboards are up on Highway 101 or the 10.
Okay, you got a guy that's the head of a 70,000 employee company.
Right.
And somebody puts a billboard with a scandalous backstory up in anywhere on the globe, and you didn't think the media was going to think there's a story here.
Well, honestly, he and I were public, so I kind of felt that, I guess because I didn't factor in the 70,000 employees, I figured that they knew that I was his girlfriend, so they would just say, oh, Charles and Yvonne, and then they would go to the website, and the website I actually created for his 50th birthday that year, and all it was a website. It's an electronic photo album, so there were photos from each year we were dating. There was nothing salacious about the website. It was extremely benign, and when I first came up with the idea to do the billboards, all of my friends were against it. They just said, why, that's crazy, don't do it. And I said, yeah, you're right. And once the Tiger Woods thing happened, I called Clear Channel and said, what does somebody have to do to put up a billboard? So, I mean, it was not, I didn't give it enough thought. So when you asked, would I do it again? No.
But you're kind of transcending all of that, because instead of trying to get smaller in the World Wide Web and everybody's consciousness, you're seeking to get larger with your memoir, your documentary. You just want to get larger with the full story.
I'm not trying to get larger. If no one reads the book, no one watches the documentary, it's okay. What I want is for my nieces and my nephews and the rest of my relatives to continue to look up to me and to continue to admire me, and not have in the back of your mind, or back of their minds, how did Yvonne not know that this was going on? We know Yvonne, she's smarter than that.
All right, we got to take a break. Next, we're going to talk about what you can do if you don't like what people are saying about you on the internet. Is there any hope? Can you clean this stuff up? We're going to meet a man who says, yeah, actually you can. Be right back. Well, today I've been talking to women who say their reputations have been ruined by news headlines and the internet. Now, Michael Furtick is here, and he founded Reputation.com and says people have the right to control and protect their online reputation and privacy. But, Michael, it takes some effort, it takes some doing, right?
The thing to do is to take control of the definition of what the internet thinks is true about you. How do you do that? First, it's very easy to buy a website for yourself, and you might be, in your case, Dr.phil.com, or someone else's case, firstname.lastname.com, and publish a very simple bio of yourself that defines who you are in your eyes. And number two, do the same thing. Twitter.com/firstname, not last name. Not Twitter.com/funnygirlporsche, but first name, last name. Why? Because that shows up high in Google. The last thing I want to be very, very specific about is that social media privacy settings don't work, and I want to make sure that people understand that whatever they publish or is published about them can and will leak out there on the world.
Okay, thank you so much for talking about that. And those 3 points you had, we're going to put on the internet as well. But that's a good idea, to get a perfect match tag on a website that comes up, so people at least get your side of whatever is going on out there. I hope you join our Facebook page and share your opinions. Also, continue to let me know what you think on the message boards. We do look at that, and a lot of our guests come from the message boards, because we do follow-up, and we get on there and see that you felt strongly about it one way or the other, or you thought I was a complete moron, or whatever. Then we bring you here so you can tell me that to my face. Thanks for being here. So long.
I feel they abandoned me.
They've barely spoken in 12 years.
How do you sleep at night?
You really think this is the time to attack this woman?
But in this reunion,
I have never seen such self-righteous right fighters in my life.
they're not afraid to speak their minds.
I want to know if there's a mental problem.
It could be genetic, so you could all be nutso. Let's do it. Why don't we stop all the drama, stop all the fighting, and let's go get you better.
Here we go. Have a good show, everybody.
If I can help get this family back on track, are you willing to do that?
Ready, free. Take.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Go, Dr. Phil.
Okay, now they were a typical all-American family. A mom and dad who loved one another and 4 children who were thick as thieves. Now, life was good. Or was it? Now, no one in this family can seem to agree. The divide started the day Mom decided to divorce Dad. Take a look.
My parents divorced 12 years ago. My mom abandoned me and my siblings. My dad was a great dad growing up, and I didn't think my parents would get divorced. I didn't think their marriage was really in trouble.
When my husband drank, he was very belligerent, very violent. One night he was urinating in the hallway because he was so drunk he thought he was in the bathroom. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. So I went to the courthouse and I filed the restraining order to safely get him out of the house.
An emergency order of protection is for when your life is in danger, and that wasn't the case. My dad was very shocked and crying when he came and told me about it. I was crying, I was upset. Our whole life just got turned upside down for no reason. It was a huge shock to all of us.
The children should not have been surprised after everything they had seen and witnessed at the house. Carlin encouraged me to leave him. Carlin had even asked me, why do you stay married to him? So I don't know why she, of all other children, would have turned her back on me.
My brothers and I testified in the hearing on my dad's behalf because we did not see or witness any signs of physical abuse in our home. My sister Alyssa took my mother's side during the hearing. I had never seen my mother this way before. I never had seen her so hateful in my life. Shortly after I was at work, my mom called me and told me I needed to come get all my stuff. It was sitting outside. When I pulled up to my mom's house, everything that I had there was in the driveway.
This is the house that I grew up in. When she threw me out of the house, my mom threw all my stuff out. It was all sitting right up there by the garage, by the bushes. When my children found out that I had filed a restraining order, they came to the house while I was at work and took a lot of furniture and a TV. I was very angry. I could not believe they felt they had to sneak in behind my back and steal it. I was so upset that I went ahead then and changed the locks on the door and changed the code to open the garage door. I was afraid they'd come steal me blind while I was at work.
I don't know how a mom can throw her kids out of the house.
I was devastated when the kids left and sided with him. They never gave me a chance to explain my side. They did not phone me. They did not call to ask any questions. It was just almost like they dropped off the face of the earth.
She hates us because we have a relationship with our father, and I do not understand how a mom can do that to her kids.
Now, Carlin says she lives 5 miles from her mother, but they have barely spoken or seen one another in 12 years. Now, Jody's youngest daughter, Alyssa, tells a completely different story of who caused this family's drama.
I'd blame Carlin for destroying my family. She tore it all apart, ripped it up into pieces. My father was the start of it, but I think she's the one that kept it going. Carlin is probably the most manipulative person I know. Pretty evil. She is the one that always held the connection with all of us siblings. So however she reacted, she wanted the boys to react the same way. I don't know why they did it this way. I think it was wrong. I was civil with them through the divorce, with all of them, including my father. And every time I would say, why don't you talk to Mom? They flat out would just drop it. I have said I am an only child because I haven't talked to them in over 10 years. It makes me upset that they've done this to my mother. She doesn't deserve it. She was the one that was always there. She was a great mom, and all of a sudden they just turned on her. With Carlin being kind of the ringleader, I could see my brothers wanting to maybe reach out. If Carlin knew, they would get an earful. Why stick your whole body in a piranha tank? If you don't do something that she approves of, be ready to feel her wrath.
Okay, so you two haven't seen each other in quite some time.
Correct.
How long?
Probably about 12.5 years.
Really? And you live 5 miles away. Look, why are we here today? What do you want from me?
I am hoping to get some answers of why I feel they abandoned me. I did not kick you out. I did not move. I did not change my phone number. They made it very clear to Alyssa and other family members, everyone in my whole entire family, they do not have any communication
so you want to
with.
prove up your victim
No,
role?
no, no, no. No. I want to know why.
You want to prove up your victim role. You said, I want to know why they abandoned me. I didn't abandon them. They abandoned me, and I want to prove that up.
I did not kick them out of the house. They chose to leave.
You can't keep changing the subject.
Okay.
I ask you a question, and you change the subject and give a non-responsive, not even answer, just a completely different comment. Now, you're here for a reason. You want something from me. I'm not going to come in here and just let people kind of crosstalk. I want to know why you're really here.
I would like to resolve the issue with my children. I've missed them.
Now, do you want to resolve it, or do you want to be right?
No, no, I want to resolve it.
And how about you?
I think it would be nice to bury the hatchet, I guess. You know, I mean, I was civil with all of them for the first year.
I didn't
when
ask you
everything
to
happened.
defend yourself. I
No.
asked you what you wanted. Listen,
want
because I've read
answers.
everything you guys have said, and I have never seen such a bunch of sanctimonious, self-righteous right fighters in my life. And I didn't ask you to defend yourself. I said, how about you? Do you want to resolve it?
I do.
You said 2 words about resolving it. Said, now, as for me, really?
I do want to resolve it. I do. I do.
Why?
I feel that I've missed out on things in their life. I feel that they've missed out on our life. I mean, you know, we have so many family events and activities, and they're not part of them.
Does it really matter who's right?
No. No. Mm-mm.
Why have you
Not
been fighting for
necessarily.
12 years to be right? I mean, think about that. What do you want? Why are you here?
I want to know how a mom can abandon 3 out of her 4 children. How you can do that to your kids, how you can drive by your daughter's house. I don't even know if it's fixable.
How sounds like an indictment. Because you're saying, how could she do that? How bad a mother could you be? You don't believe you did anything to justify being cut off by your mother, being an outcast, do you?
I don't think so.
Okay, then why did you say that? You're not really asking for an answer to that. What you're saying is indict her. She's a bad mother. She backed out. She turned her back, dumped us kids, and I want that straightened up.
That's true. When I called her a year ago, she said, I said, Mom, she said, who is this? I said, your daughter, Carlin. She calls me back. I asked her for some photos. She called me back a couple of days later, said, Carlin, this is Jody. First of all, how did you get my number? After your daughter called
You're telling me this because why?
That's not a normal response for a mom.
Okay, I didn't ask you if it was normal or not. I asked you why you're telling me this. What is your desired result?
My desired result is to just, I guess, just get an understanding of what did we do
Now,
to
why are
deserve
you
this?
telling me this?
Because I always want your opinion. Whenever something happens, I always want to know, what would Dr. Phil have to say about this? Like, this isn't normal for a mom to treat her kids this way.
Okay, so you already know that it's not normal, so you don't need me to tell you that. You just want me to join you.
I want to know if there's a mental problem or something going on. Okay.
That's not the case.
I don't have a mental problem.
Well, if she is, it could be genetic.
Possibly.
So you could all be nutso.
Well, then take the whole family.
Well, we'll take you all out back. All right. Look, I'm here for a reason.
And I want to know if it's fixable.
Yes.
Okay.
It's fixable if you're fixable. If you're fixable, if you're fixable. If you decide that you're tired of being right and you want to be happy. All right, let's take a break. Mom thinks the real problem is that Carlin is just jealous of Alyssa, who she calls her shining star. We'll be right back.
Alyssa is my shining star. It makes me angry that they've abandoned Alyssa. She really did nothing to deserve any of this.
Carlin and Alyssa were never real close when they were growing up. I don't think Carlin really liked her. She was often mean and picked on her. Carlin would purposely trip her or make her fall down. I assume now that it's because Carlin was jealous of her. Alyssa is my shining star. She's always happy, she's always pleasant, she's accomplished lots in her life. It makes me angry that they've abandoned Alyssa. If you really want to do this to me, you know, so be it. But she really did nothing to deserve any of this.
Well, that was Jody, who says her eldest daughter, Carlin, is selfish, while her youngest daughter, Alyssa, is her shining star. So you're not proud of her?
Oh, I am proud of her.
How do you know? You haven't seen her in 12.5 years.
I do not know her as an adult. I know a few things about her from others, but...
How do you feel about that? Did you ever
it breaks
think,
my heart.
Did you ever think at this time in your life that you would be talking about your daughter and say, I don't even know anything about her as an adult?
Absolutely not.
We ask you all a lot of questions,
Absolutely.
and you've been very forthcoming. And I thought you were very honest and unfiltered, as were you. And
Thank you.
As were you, Terry. All of y'all were very forthcoming. So I got to pull an analysis of what descriptors you used for the two. Jody says her feud with Carlin started after the divorce, but it's hard to believe when you hear the way she talks about the differences between the two girls. When she's talking about Alyssa, she says, my shining star, always happy, pleasant, sees the brighter side of things, has such a big, bright, beautiful smile. You do have a beautiful smile.
Thank you.
Such a blessing to me and helped through the dark days. Always makes me smile and warms my heart. Always been very close, but divorce brought me even closer. Talk to her 3 or 4 times a day. When she visits, I just don't even want to let her leave.
That's true.
Yeah.
But she has 4 kids.
It's everybody's
I know that.
daughter you would want.
I know that.
Now, Carlin, you had a different set of adjectives for her. Very selfish and self-centered, always acted like an only child in a 4-child family, a princess, would never do anything to break a nail or a sweat, the boss of everyone.
She was. When they were little children, they'd go out to play in the yard.
What are you, her mini-me? Every time she says something,
I'm just... No.
You said this all started with a divorce. I mean, you're describing her as a child, as being selfish, self-centered, a princess, boss of everyone.
When they'd go out to play when they were little, she'd line them up in the yard and a couple of the cousins, and she would say, okay, today we're playing Care Bears, and you be Funshine Bear, and you be this bear, and you be this bear. She even told them what bear they had to be, and they all said, okay.
We were kids,
I understand that, but you were
How
always
dare
bossy.
you.
I know, right? I'm such a horrible person.
How dare you? I wanted to be Fun Bear.
Sorry.
It's just showing a personality
She was always bossy.
trait.
She was always in control and had to be the boss of everything.
So?
She just was. No, she just was.
So, what's your point?
They all followed her around and played whatever she wanted to play.
Okay, is
So
that-
she's always been bossy.
Or a leader?
That's
A leader.
yeah, maybe so. I don't know her as an adult. It's very sad. It's very sad.
Wow. You got a divorce.
I did. Thank God.
And I don't know. I didn't know your husband, and I know that you have described him in some very unflattering ways. But I don't know him, but I do know you got a divorce. Divorce is very difficult on children.
Yes, it is.
You were supportive of her decision during the divorce, correct? Mm-hmm. You've been supportive over the whole way. You and your brothers were shocked by it, you say. The
We were
divorce.
shocked.
You were brokenhearted by it and shocked by it.
We were shocked about how it started.
Right? And it bothered you, and there was a hearing for a protective order,
Yes.
and you sided with your father about the protective order because you felt like
We
it was...
testified that the emergency order protection was untrue. There was no need for a domestic violence, restraining order, any of that. That was a shock.
Why? Why was there no need
We
for
never
it?
saw Dad hit Mom, punch Mom, never saw her with bruises. They'd argue, yes, but never physical violence. We never saw any of that. We never grew up with that.
Okay.
You did.
We did not.
You did grow up with that.
Children don't really know everything there is to know about what happens between a husband and a wife. And so it's hard for them to make informed decisions. You don't know what she said to him or he said to her when you weren't around. You don't know what happened behind closed doors. You don't know everything that goes on in the interactions between a husband and wife. And oftentimes, that's by design. She might protect you from some of that awareness. He might protect you from some of that awareness. So for you to pass judgment about that, you're uninformed, and it's unfair for you to do that, to sit in judgment about that, which it's also unfair. It's why I say adults should not drag children into adult issues.
Exactly.
You should not have children at the time getting up and testifying, taking positions, taking sides, weighing in on things of that nature. It's just not right to do. It's difficult enough for children to watch their family fragment without putting them into the battle zone and having them make decisions where they feel like if I side with one, I'm betraying the other. And it's interesting that the one that you seem to be happiest with was coincidentally the one that supported you.
Correct. You can divorce your spouse. You don't divorce your kids. And I felt like she divorced all of us.
I did not divorce you. Carlin, you used to ask me, why do you stay married to him?
Yes.
You'd ask me that.
You took your...
But you don't understand, that doesn't matter. She's a child. At the time, she's a child.
And I have something else to say about protecting your children. If she's such a protector, when she first started dating Terry, we got into an argument, my mother and I. He stepped in, he threw me on the ground, grabbed my hair and grabbed my throat and threw me on the ground. She did nothing to protect me.
That's not true.
Is that because you went to punch him in the face and he was protecting himself?
That is not true.
All right, let's take a break. Up next, Jody says Carlin is the cause of all the family drama and has brainwashed her sons against her. Well, we're going to talk to one of those sons. He has a view, and we'll hear what it is when we come back.
I believe there are blatant lies being told here. My daughter Carlin, I feel, is the ringleader of the group. She rules what should or shouldn't happen, and the boys just follow her and do whatever she says. I think she is the main reason that they do not contact me as well.
I was most upset about my mother making false allegations against my dad about physical abuse and emotional abuse. There was never any physical abuse at all. I went with my brother to the house to try to talk to my mother about the situation. She didn't want to speak to us and told us that we needed to get off the property, otherwise she was going to call the cops on us. My mother never tried to even explain anything at all. She had kicked us out of the house. I was completely lost, emotionally hurt. I had noticed a major change in my mom to where she did not seem like that person that helped raise us. She was different. She just seemed like an evil person. I've only spoken to my mother maybe twice in the last 12 years. My mother is a person that I no longer know.
Blake, what do you want to see happen here?
I just want answers as far as, why everything happened, why, she's never tried to get into any contact with us, because when my parents did get divorced, Alyssa, my brother, and Carlin, we all stayed close. So Alyssa, with her still staying close to our mother, she could have given our mother our phone numbers.
You told me you didn't want me to give Mom your numbers.
I never said that one bit.
Whenever I would come over to see you guys or visit, and I would say, maybe you guys should go talk to Mom or something, or give her your number, and you guys would always say, drop it. No, we're not doing that. Yes, it is true, and you know it's true.
No, it's
you guys
not.
always did that, and it was so unfair. I tried so hard to keep it together with everybody, but you guys always just bashed everybody, and you refused to even give any information at all. And you know you refused to give information.
Let me just ask everybody here, and listen, just make a decision about this. I've said that you are a bunch of right fighters. Now, I just timed your response to 37 seconds. Is that how you want to spend your time here today?
No.
Do you want to spend your time with me on national television justifying yourself about whether he told her or you told him not to give somebody their phone number? Is that really how you want to spend your time?
I'm just saying, in response to his question, he's saying that we
because you need to set the record straight. You got to be right about this, right?
I am right.
Okay, just so we got it. So you're right.
No, I'm just saying, he was saying that we never tried to contact him, when in reality,
We're now
They
passing 2
didn't-
minutes. Keep going.
They didn't want us. They
We
didn't
can be
want to
talking about fixing things, but we're going to get you right. We're passing 2.5 minutes. Keep going.
Okay, I'll stop.
No, seriously, you want to be right. This is what you came for.
I don't want to be right.
You want everybody to know you're right when you go home.
I guess I want to get clarification because I think that there is a lot of he said, she said, which, you know, and it was so
And
long
clarification
ago.
is that what you said is right.
I'm not saying I'm right.
Yes, you are. You spent the last 3 minutes now saying you're right.
I'm saying.
Don't you hate it when I'm right?
You are right.
No.
Well, I can play the tape back and we can listen to it
We
again and you
can.
can get stopwatch and time it.
I'm saying it's hard for me to listen to them say that she didn't contact them when
it's a mess.
It's
isn't
hard.
It?
It is. It's hard for me to hear them say that when I feel like that they didn't want anything to do with her. They were mad from the beginning. They were mad. That was the thing.
But you know, here's the problem. This is a big room, isn't it?
Yeah.
You could fill it 10 times over with what you don't know about what you're talking about.
That may be.
It's not maybe. You don't know a damn thing about the dynamics of the impact of divorce and fragmented families on children at the time it happens. You know your experience of it.
Right.
But you don't know his experience of it. You don't know her experience of it. Listen, guys, come on. There's nothing you're going to say that is going to convince me that you as a mother are justified in not being a leader in this family and bringing everybody back together. You got a divorce. That's your decision. And it is your right to make it, and you do not need your children's approval to do it. You had to make a decision, and I'm not judging that decision. Have I asked you one question about that?
No.
I'm not asking you, was he really this way? Did he really do that? Did he really do the other? I'm not asking you about that. I'm not judging you about that. You had to make a decision. And what I know is your history, according to all of your children, those that are in contact with you now and those who aren't, is that you spent your life as a loving, devoted, and caring mother.
Thank you, I did.
That you nurtured him, that you nurtured his brother, that you nurtured her, that you nurtured her, that you sacrificed, that you did so much for your family. Agreed?
Yeah, we were
Agreed?
kids.
Agreed.
Nobody questions that. So I can only assume that if you made a decision to exit this marriage, that it was after careful consideration and deliberation. I question how it was played out with these children. I question the fact that when they had a reaction to it, where they didn't side with you, agree with you, support you in it, that created a fracture that has gone on for 12 years. I made a list, just a partial list. This isn't an exhaustive list. It's just a partial list of what you have missed in the time that has gone on. 12 years of birthdays, Thanksgiving, Christmases, Easters, and Mother's Days. You missed Jordan's high school graduation. You missed Blake's wedding. You missed Carlin's 2 college graduations, Jordan's homecoming from Iraq and is going to Iraq, the birth of your grandson Andrew's surgery, the birth of a granddaughter, Liliana, Carlin's buying a house, Carlin's engagement, all of these things that you could and should be a central figure in have been passed because of a blow-up 12 and a half years ago. Are you kidding me?
Oh, it breaks my heart.
Does it make sense to you?
Goodness, no, it's
Then
never
why
made
don't
sense.
you lead this family out of this mess?
I'd love to.
I'm not talking to you right now. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Why not lead this family out of this mess?
I would love to lead him out of
Why
this
not
mess.
forgive everybody for everything that's been done? Why not forgive yourself for what you've done? Why not ask forgiveness for things you may not have done? Why not just hit the reset button and start this thing over? You can't change what's happened. It seems to me that there comes a point where you just got to say, you know what? If, God forbid, you know what a fine young man you have here?
I do.
Contributing member of society. This is a really fine young man you have here. Can you imagine if, God forbid, something catastrophic happens to one of these children? And what you say as well, they're now gone forever, and I spent the last 12 and a half years out of no contact because I didn't like what happened during a short period of time of emotional upheaval in our family that they didn't ask for. They hooked their wagons to our stars as mother and father. We ran it off in the ditch.
Right.
They got caught up in the crossfire. I didn't like the choices they made, whether it was abandoning me, turning their back, whatever you call it. And now they're gone.
There's not a day goes by I don't think about him or pray for him.
I've been wanting to know, how do you sleep at night? When you don't
Really,
have a
you
kid?
really think this is
I've
the
asked
time
that.
to attack this woman?
No, I've asked
You really
that.
think, given the rhetoric that we're embracing here and where I'm taking this, you think that the next reasonable comment is, how do you sleep at night, woman?
That's what I had asked her before. She said that she's think about it, so I've wondered if she has.
Every day. Every day.
Coming up, Jody is closer to Blake's ex-wife than she is to her own son. We're going to find out why when we come back, and I'm going to tell you why I think this thing has veered off so badly. You're going to be surprised what I think the catalyst is.
Even after all the incidents that occurred, even though Alyssa lived with Jody, we all kept in touch with Alyssa. I was very close to Alyssa. We were the two youngest of the kids. Blake invited both Jody and Alyssa at his wedding. He wanted his family there. I talked to Alyssa several times, and she gave me every excuse in the book. I explained to her my ultimatum: if you don't go to your brother's wedding, as much as it hurt me to say, I won't speak to you after this. I just can't comprehend how you couldn't go to your own brother's wedding. Alyssa feels she's an only child because her brothers and sisters are trash. That hurt even more. That just cemented everything. For her to disown the rest of us, it's a slap in the face.
I never thought they were trash. I never said that. I don't believe that.
Yeah. So that's how he thinks.
And
It's a
it's
shame.
sad.
It's a shame.
Very
They've
sad.
seen posts on Facebook. That's why that's
They're
why
not
we
even friends
believe
with me on
that. We don't believe
Facebook.
it for no reason.
How's this going for you so far?
Interesting.
You know what's going to happen? Y'all are going to leave here in a few minutes, and you're going to all go backstage, and you may actually bond in standing against me, which would be okay. Because you can go backstage and say, well, that didn't go like I thought it was. I thought he was going to help us, and all he did was pick on us. Yeah, I'm trying to shake this up because you're on self-destruct here.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely on self-destruct. Do y'all believe in the power of language? You know what I mean when I say the power of language? Words are powerful, aren't they? And I listen to everything y'all say in your interviews. I read everything you say in your interviews. Everything. Every word. And a pattern jumped out at me. You guys have a way of using catastrophic language to describe non-catastrophic events. You're talking about it, you say, the straw that broke the camel's back. They went behind my back to steal me blind. I was devastated. You were devastated?
I was devastated.
You were just devastated. What is devastated? Is that where, like, your body parts fall off of you and you're laying it? Oh, come on. I'm serious. Devastated? They dropped off the face of the earth. My children dropped off the face of the earth. I hate it when that happens. The world's just turning around and people are just falling off of the earth. They're not my daughters anymore. Whose daughters are they? I didn't know there was a window to go to where you could say, I'm turning these in. I want a reissue here. I probably would have done it a few times if I thought you could. And you call myself an only child, turned her back on us. It's like putting your head in a piranha tank.
Yeah.
Seriously? Have you ever seen piranhas
They go
attack a
after you,
bleeding
man.
animal?
They go after you.
It's like putting your head in a piranha tank. You mess with her, you're going to feel her wrath. You're going to get an earful. It's torn all apart. They have just ripped our family to pieces, just ripped it to pieces. I mean, you just pull around, there's hair, teeth, and eyes everywhere. Oh, my God. They've ripped our family to pieces. They've turned on her. You are the ringleader.
I guess.
You are the ringleader. And your Mom is dead to me. turned our world upside down, threw my things out of the house. I saw them stacked in the driveway. They looked like they had been neatly stacked in the driveway. It didn't look like they had been thrown out of there in a frenzy. They threw my brothers out. You can throw him out?
Didn't throw anybody out.
Blake says, kicked us out. She is an evil person. No longer knows who she is, like they couldn't pick you out of a lineup. Brothers and sisters are trash, he says. Jordan says it's like a slap in the face. Just a slap in the face. Come on, guys, do you wonder why you're all so upset? This is melodramatic, catastrophic language. Calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down. You're not devastated.
I was when it first happened.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't. You remained vertical. You remained coherent. You could talk. You are now.
I cried in bed for a couple days. But
you were sad.
I was sad.
That's what it was.
Well, a lot of this is going to come back and be laid at your feet.
Exactly.
Don't help me, Jesus.
I'm just saying, I agree with you.
The last conversation I had with Carlin, she had phoned me and wanted to know if she could get photos I'd had of all the children as they were growing up. That was really all I had to hang on to, and I was not willing to give them up. They were the only happy memories I had left. They'd taken everything else. Carlin said, well, I am your daughter. And I told her, you're not my daughter. My daughter would not treat me this way. That was the last I heard from Carlin.
Well, Jody says she doesn't consider Carlin her daughter anymore. Carlin says her mother is dead to her. Now, Jody...
Can I correct that?
Sure.
I didn't say that she is dead. I said that...
Oh, yes, you did.
No. I said that it's like she's dead, but it's worse because she's not dead, but she doesn't care to be there for her kids.
That's better?
It's worse.
I raised them alone for almost 10 years. I don't understand how this could have happened. I don't know how it went from not speaking.
Does it matter?
No, but I don't know how it got so out of control.
If you start taking inventory, you're not going to like it because you're the boss. You're the mother. You're the parent. You're the one that sets the tone, guides through the maze. So a lot of this is going to come back and be laid at your feet.
Exactly.
Don't help me, Jesus.
I'm just saying, I agree with you. I agree with you. That's how it should be. So how do we fix this? Or is it fixable?
Maybe 12 and a half years is not long enough.
You feel my pain?
No, seriously. You have...
I agree.
You have really bad timing.
Okay.
You know, my dad used to tell me, boy, don't you ever miss a good chance to shut up. Okay?
But you're saying how I feel. What you're saying is how I feel.
My dad used to say, boy, don't ever miss a good chance to shut up. Then what you should do is just bask in that quietly.
Okay.
What you want to do right now is stop talking.
Okay.
Okay? Because I'm trying to make some progress here and you're not helping.
Okay.
Every situation needs a hero.
I don't know how this went from 1 day to a month to a year to 2, 3, 4. I don't know how it got so out of control. Please, can we start over?
Let me tell you something. You want to know something about her?
Absolutely.
She has a really good heart. And she really loves you a lot. She even loves you a lot. And she misses you a lot. And there are parts of life that you can only share in a meaningful way with your own people. And extended family is very, very important when children are growing up. You know, to learn that somebody loves them besides just their mom and dad. You know, there's like grandparents and aunts and uncles that they can feel safe with. It's how they begin to expand their radius in life. It's how they learn, you know, that they can go further and do good things. And this guy that you guys are kind of demonizing down here, all he ever had the audacity to do was love your mother. He's not trying to be your dad. He just loves your mother. And you know, I've just always had a soft spot for people that loved my children, my family. Somebody's good to my family. I always felt a kind of a kindness to people that were good to my family. And he's been a soft place for your mother to fall. He didn't ask for any of this. I am just asking you guys to hit a reset button here. Every situation needs a hero that just says, look, I don't know how we got in this mess. I probably made some mistakes in the way that this unfolded. Perhaps I misread y'all's readiness for this divorce. Perhaps you got too involved in it. And maybe I got my feelings hurt and y'all got your feelings hurt. And I don't know where the first link in that chain was, but I know where the link is that I am now. And I'm extending an olive branch. I just want to love y'all and be loved by y'all. And you know how you do it? You start out by having some boundaries. You start out by saying, let's all get together in a public place where perhaps we'll have some inhibition to having a throwdown. And the boundary is we're not going to talk about anything that's happened. We're just going to be in the moment. We're just going to be in the moment and enjoy each other's company and see the kids and just have a non-judgmental good time. And then we're going to try to build on that. And I am more than happy to bring some professionals in here that can kind of unravel this ball of yarn behind closed doors for y'all, individually and collectively, to help bring some peace to this situation.
Thank you.
But it begins with somebody standing up and saying, this situation needs a hero, and since I'm the mom, it's going to be me. Because I say enough is enough. It's time that we start loving each other up again, and I'm going to be the first one to extend that offer. And that's my suggestion.
Thank you.
To you. Not because it's your fault, not because you have any bigger role into anybody else, although I believe you do because you're the parent, but just because somebody has to, and it might as well be you.
Absolutely. I love you, Carlin, and I love you, Blakely, both. I never have not loved you. Please, can we start over? I don't know how this went from one day to a month to a year to 2, 3, 4. I don't know how it got so out of control, but I would like it to end. Absolutely.
I want to end this, and
I do want to end this.
I want to end it.
Will you accept that offer?
Yes, I'll accept it.
Will you accept that offer?
I'll accept the offer.
And just a step, I'm not saying just a step at a time. A step at a time. Fair enough?
Yeah, it's fair.
And I will get help to facilitate beyond that step.
Thank you.
Make sense? Mm-hmm. All right, coming up, tips for parents when talking to their kids about divorce. We'll be right back. We've been talking about divorce, and I want to give you some tips about talking to your children if a divorce is imminent. First, you need to be as honest with them as possible, but you have to do it in an age-appropriate way. And I know that term gets used a lot, but it just really means you don't take them into concepts they don't understand. And you need to acknowledge their feelings. And so what are they? Well, they're going to be scared. They're going to be confused. And children always have a way of figuring out how things are their fault in some way. They might hear mom and dad arguing about money, for example, and you could be arguing about mortgage payments or something really big, but they'll go sit on their bed and say, wow, if I didn't need $11.80 for school pictures, maybe mom and dad wouldn't be getting a divorce. they do have a way of figuring out how it's their fault. So you have to acknowledge those feelings. Be fair when talking about the other parent. It doesn't help you if they don't have a relationship with their other parent. That will come back to haunt you. Let them know they didn't cause this in any way whatsoever. Tell them their parents love them, even though their feelings for each other may have changed. But let them know that both parents love them very, very much. I'll have more information about all this on drphil.com. I appreciate you guys being here today and talking about this, and I am going to provide some help and guidance after this, but take it a step at a time. It doesn't matter. In the final analysis, it doesn't matter who said what to who back when. What matters is where you go from here. Not even God can change what has happened.
Right.
What you need to focus on is where you are now and what will happen. So we'll be working on this. Thanks for being here. So long. Do you think you're too old to play with dolls? That's just creepy to me.
The difference between your hobby and an obsession.
This thing's not going to wet on me, is it?
Plus, she hasn't cut her hair since she was 13 years old.
Are you ready? I'm backstage watching our special correspondent, comedian and author Stephanie Wild-Taylor, as she shows some of our audience a doll that is so lifelike, people mistake it for a real baby. It's part of a new craze called reborning, where women say they obsess over infant dolls that look like human babies. They dress them, shop for them, take them out. Our show today is about obsessions and how they affect our lives. Reborning is just one of the obsessions we're going to talk about today. Sometimes otherwise rational people can get completely obsessed with dolls, dogs, people, that it totally takes over their life. Maybe they're focused on appearance, weight, money, revenge. Obsession is the front end of OCD. Think about that. So today we're answering the question, when does habit, passion, or hobby cross the line and start getting in the way? Start making your list. You may learn something about you today.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
Some say it's a hard life, but it's hard for us all. Always hold on.
In 10, 9,
Always be strong. Reach out.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Stand by, camera 6. Go, Dr. Phil.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, what is an obsession? Is it harmless, or does it dominate your life? Now, how is it different from, say, a passion or a habit or even what we call a quirk? Well, today we're going to get to the bottom of what they are, what they aren't, why we have them, and what purpose they serve. Now, some of y'all thought this baby was real, right? Who saw the baby? Did you think it was real? Because we had you on camera talking to it. We had you talking to the baby.
A little bit.
A little bit. I mean, y'all, they really are real looking, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, okay, here's what some people say their obsessions are.
I'm obsessed with playing video games. If I go away, I start getting withdrawals and I want to click the mouse buttons even though I don't have a mouse in my hand.
My obsession is cleaning house.
It would be my husband. I just can't be without him a day.
I'm really obsessed with going to those wonderful Indian casinos.
I cannot go a day, nor probably even an hour, without playing a game of spider solitaire.
I'm obsessed with being a germaphobe, and I prefer not to have someone cough or sneeze in my vicinity. When people walk by, I'll whoosh my hand, wave my hand to just try to spread it away.
He created his own language for it. It's called wusa, and he goes wusa, he does this weird thing.
All right, the term obsession is kind of a wastebasket term. you know, kind of like addiction and other things that get overused, and people just don't really know what they are because they just don't understand it. Here's some of what the audience thought obsession meant. First, they said they thought it was a conscious preoccupation with ideas that interfere with thought or quirks. Now, that one is dead on, okay? So that's my definition. Let me define quirks for you. A peculiar habit or mannerism, some aspect of your personality. You can have somebody with a quirk, you know, you guys kind of quirky, but otherwise they do okay. Habits are behavior patterns that are acquired by frequent repetition. You just do something over and over. Passion is a strong desire or devotion to something or someone. Now, my first guest today is 30-year-old Nona. She says that she is definitely obsessed with her hair. Now, why would we have to pick that? Okay? She says her obsession started when she was just 13 years old. Take a look.
When I was growing up, my hair was very long. It was always brushed into beautiful ponytails or braids. When I was 8, I went into the salon for a trim. The lady was specifically told to trim my hair. I went with my 2 sisters. The lady asked me, "How do you want your hair cut?" I said, "Like my sister." She looks at my sister Cindy, grabs my ponytail, and cuts it off. That haircut affected everything about my life. I went from being a pretty little girl to a little boy. One year for Halloween, my brother and I decided to swap costumes. I was a cheerleader and he was a football player. I wore his football jersey to school and nobody realized that it was me. They thought I was my brother.
Okay, so here's the deal. Nona won't ever step foot into a salon. She says, no, not happening. She refuses to get her hair cut or colored. She says her hair is definitely her security blanket. Take a look.
If I'm feeling insecure about my body, I can always take my hair and put it in front, and they can't see any of my imperfections. My long hair is me. I am the girl with the long hair. That's my identity. If I don't have the long hair, what's going to be pretty about me?
Okay, so you're obsessed with this hair, right?
Dr. Phil, I'm so obsessed with my hair. Let me show you what I have.
All right, let's see this. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, wow.
This is my hair, Dr. Phil.
All right, so why do you think it's such a security blanket for you? What's the deal?
When I was younger and I walked around with a mushroom on my head and looking like a boy.
A mushroom?
A mushroom,
because you got
Dr. Phil.
whacked off.
Yes.
So you look like a boy?
I looked like a boy. I acted like a boy. Everything about me.
That's the mushroom?
Yes, and that's tame.
The truth is that obsessions do serve a purpose. And it gives people this idea that they are in control. It's like if I obsess about, you know, germs on a doorknob, and so I clean the doorknobs all the time, I feel like I'm in control of this. And if you obsess about your hair, then you have control over that. Nobody can do it, so it gives you a sense of being in control, because that was taken away from you once, right?
Yes, it was. My mom would not let me grow my hair out once it was short. She saw how easy it was to take care of. She said it wasn't until I'd be old enough to take care of it myself that I could grow it back out.
It's been 17 years since Nona cut her hair, and she says she is ready. She says she is ready for a big change. Now, I don't cut hair or know a thing about wardrobe, as you can see. I mean, Robin dresses me like a Ken doll. I'm the poster boy for adult garanimals. You know, everything matches when I travel. So I had to ask for some help. VH1 has a new reality show called Glam God, where they search for the next great celebrity stylist. Please welcome the host of the show, actress Vivica A. Fox, and celebrity stylist Philip Block. Hey guys, how are you? So good to see you. Oh, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Well,
Good to see you. Philip Block.
So, Vivica, what do you think here?
Oh, baby, you need some style gods to come in and rescue you, girlfriend.
Well, you got some scissors here? Okay. So what we have here are some scissors. And what all of my producers want me to do is make the first cut.
I trust him.
Now she's nervous. I know.
Like, make the first cut. Like, no.
Whoa, we gotta go down.
Like maybe here or here.
Let's say like right about in there.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. I don't cut hair. And I'm not going to cut your hair. But if you want to make a first cut, you can. Now, that's up to you.
Definitely, I'm ready.
That's up to you. I'm not, listen, you can say no, you can go sit in the audience, we can go on with the rest of the show. You don't have to do this, but if you want to do it, you need to start this, because we're not going to do it to you.
All right. There you go. Get more, we got more for you.
I don't know, what do you think? I get me a weave going here or something?
No, baby, because she got plenty of hair to create a great weave, as a matter of fact.
You could do us all out here. Okay, well, here's the deal. Vivica and Philip are going to take Anona backstage, see what they can get going back there, see if she can buddy up to your hairstylist, and then we're going to check with them later in the show and see what magic these guys work on this beautiful lady here. All right, you guys can go off that way. We'll let you go to work. All right.
Woo! You're going to look bad. It's going to look great.
Yeah.
It's going to look great.
No, I'm not about to cut somebody's hair. I'm hair challenged enough without doing that. All right, up next, move over Beanie Babies. There's a new craze in town called reborning. Women who take plain-looking dolls and turn them into lifelike babies. These things cost thousands of dollars. Is it an obsession or a hobby? We're going to find out when we come back. Today, we're talking about how normal, rational people, and by that I mean people that, they have jobs, they have lives, they do good things, and then they get caught up in their devotion for animals or inanimate objects that you have to wonder if it's hobby or if it's crossed over to obsession. Now, we heard about a group of women with an unusual interest in collecting and creating dolls so incredibly lifelike that they're called reborns. Now, this season, we're having some special correspondents report from the field. This was a perfect story to send comedian Stephanie Wilder-Taylor to the suburbs. She's the author of Sippy Cups Are Not for Chardonnay and Other Things I Learned as a New Mom. Take a look.
So what is it about reborning that people get obsessed with?
They look like real children.
This has taken doll collecting
to a whole new level.
In a completely different direction and become this craze that people can't get enough of these babies that look like babies.
Right, and some people make them to look like their children.
Do you think that's a little weird?
I think it could be, if you don't have control.
But you have control.
Yeah.
Okay, this one scares me. It's just looking, staring at me.
Go to sleep.
That's Brielle. She's hefty. Now this is?
Vinny.
Hey, Vinny.
That little one's name is Ryan. And the reason that I was attracted to him was because he reminds me so much of my grandson.
A funny story about these three guys right here, what we call them, the three Jesuses. The happy Jesus, sleeping Jesus, not sure he wants to be here Jesus.
That one looks like he has a little mascara on.
We just finished our basement, and in the process of finishing the basement, we decided to put in like a work studio. So you're actually at the christening.
So this is a room that you created just for the dolls?
This area here is. These are actual kits.
Oh, God. Okay, do you see anything wrong with this picture? That looks like a horror movie.
These have not been painted. They have no eyes. They have nothing. This guy's getting his body today. He hasn't had a body for a long time.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is about keeping it real. That's just creepy to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's just creepy to me. I'm not saying it's sick or anything, but just to me, it's creepy.
It was creepy to me. I mean, when I first went there, I was concerned just from the name alone. I mean, Reborners, that sounds like a cult.
Yeah.
My friends were concerned.
Doesn't sound right.
No.
Doesn't sound right. And the fact is, there's nothing untoward going on here or anything. These are doll collectors. They just really get into it. But I don't know, it just seems kind of odd to me.
Well, to be honest, I talked with Catherine. She's such a nice person, and she seems really down to earth. But then you go into her house, and she has 2 rooms entirely devoted just for the dolls. One is the feminine room, and one is the masculine room. And there's like 20 real-life looking dolls in each room, just kind of staring at you. Just kind of looking around.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
I guess it just wouldn't be right to keep boys and girls together.
apparently
So they gotta
not.
have
I mean,
separate
but these
rooms.
are full-on nurseries for babies, and there's not a baby in her house.
Well, Catherine says that she is addicted to reborns. Now, she hosts a party with friends who also collect and create reborners. They call it Doll Day.
I love her. Isn't she cute? She's precious. Right, Brielle?
She's heavy, I know. She weighs about 7 pounds.
12.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
She is with the Dr.phil show. He couldn't join us, so she is to find out exactly what we do today.
Well, good. Here, have one.
Have you ever known anybody to formula feed their newborn?
No.
Or reborn?
No. But people...
Because breast is best.
Right. True.
Now, who's this? This is Michael.
And so this is, and his hair, little Donald Trump style.
So this one went into the Cracker Barrel, and she got quite a response, actually. Yeah. So, but she was cheap date. She didn't eat anything.
So the reborning is what you do to the baby. So this right now is just a doll.
It's in the process of being reborn.
Right. Sometimes when you're just goofing around, like, do you rock them and sing to them? And
Sure, I think it's a natural reaction for a woman when she's holding a baby in her arms to rock. I find myself doing that. That doesn't make me psychotic. I yearn for the days when my children were younger because I enjoyed being a mother so much and I enjoyed watching them and the little expressions in their faces. Of course, you miss those days and you want to recapture those days.
Okay. So this is
one of them.
This is one of them. Does it have a name?
It has a name. It was given by the artist Trevor. I didn't have a problem with that name, so I left it that name.
Okay. When you move its arm from underneath, it makes
Yeah,
it
it looks sort of...
look like it's kind of real.
Yes. But I think the sleeping ones look more real anyways. I think the ones that... We discussed this the other day.
Yes.
The ones that don't blink can get a little eerie. So I sort of prefer them sleeping myself because I think it just looks like a child at peace sleeping.
But Catherine told me that some people actually want their eyes open because if I'm going to pay that much money for a doll, I want that thing looking at me.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
But so do you rock the baby? Like your friend was saying, I'm not psychotic, but I rock.
No. Actually, it's funny. I see it more as an art form. I mean, because these things start out so plain. It's like when you saw the heads, the gruesome little heads and bodies that were in the shells. I think it's an art form, I really do. And the reason I brought this one is because this is not one I personally made. I have great respect for the woman who did make this. That's one I did make. And mine's more of a, I think more of a passion than really an obsession, to be honest. I have 2 rooms, but they also started out as my grandchildren's nurseries.
Yeah.
So it was real convenient when I made another room for them, a playroom, to go, oh, I have a feminine room and a masculine room, so I'll put boy dolls in one room and girl dolls in another room.
Do you think you're too old to play with dolls?
Yeah, probably.
We'll be right back. Well, you know what some people would say, and I mean it's true of people that become really engaged with like pets or dolls or whatever, is that it's just really low demand.
Right.
You don't have to really do anything. You don't have to engage. You don't have to interact. And so it's a regressive sort of thing to a really low demand relationship, so you don't have to engage in a healthy relationship. But the truth is, you have friends and family, and you're engaged at every level, right? Because I have to tell you, as I see this, I think some people can get over-involved in this kind of stuff. You don't strike me that way at all. This, to me, and this is what we were talking about before, the difference between an obsession and a hobby. Now, when we were talking to you, you used the word obsessed to describe yourself, but I think you used it in kind of a lay term, like you're really into them.
I'm
That
over
sounds to
top
me
on
like-
everything, really.
But that sounds to me like a hobby.
It is a hobby.
Like a passion, because for something to be an obsession, that means that it involuntarily crowds into your consciousness, pushes other things out of the way, and you can't think, you can't act, you can't do things. That's what obsession is. You see that in obsessive compulsives where they have to wash their hands all the time for a sense of control. And so they can't go fix dinner because they're busy washing their hands. They can't go to the movie with their friends because they're busy washing their hands. It's so intrusive. That doesn't seem at all what's going on with you. This seems like a habit.
It's
a hobby.
It's a hobby and a passion. And I have to tell you, the responses you get, when I purchase a doll, occasionally you shouldn't leave, I mean, we don't know yet, but you shouldn't leave them in sunlight for any length of time. And if I have one, I've actually had an incident where I came to my car and this couple were getting ready to call the police because they thought I left a sleeping baby in my car.
Yeah. Can I see the...
Sure.
See
and
the
so
baby?
now I have to, if I ever have one I've purchased or I'm taking to someone to deliver, I have to take it in with me because I can't afford to have the windows fixed on my car.
Wow, that is real looking when you look at it. And actually, that's the way I held our babies, too. I mean, I don't know. Their heads would bob all around and stuff. Okay, but and it's like the right weight and everything, right?
Yeah. I mean, really, a lot of thought goes into this. I mean, people, you know, they figure the balance of the weight and they look at the skin texture and, you know, we were showing her the other day. They looked really.
Some of them look very real, but the creepy thing, I got to tell you, the creepy thing is, and I think you would agree with me, when their eyes are closed and they're just laying in a cradle, they look dead.
Sure.
I mean, they don't. Once you kind of get over the momentary, it looks real, it's like a house full of dead babies. Not to be really morbid, but I mean, doesn't that sort of
doll collecting's been going on for years and years and years. No. That's the beauty of these. They're really low maintenance in the long run.
How much have you spent on these things, roughly?
Are you talking dolls in general or reborns?
This is not an essay question.
Well, I mean, there's a difference.
No, I mean, how much have you put into this hobby?
Okay, but am I going to be on your segment for divorcees when I convey this?
Maybe, but there won't be a custody fight.
I'm kidding. No, true. No, probably between the paints, you know, the paint, the hair that's really not too inexpensive, but you don't use a lot, and...
Aren't we talking 50 grand here?
No.
Catherine.
No.
You told me.
Between...
50 grand.
No. You need to show the whole thing.
I
said between 40 to 50,000 total on dolls in the last 14 years.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. It's for 40, 50 grand.
For dolls, not this particular kind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, no. Well,
But that's including antique cradles and cribs and high chairs and...
She puts diapers on the babies.
Oh, sure. They fill the clothes out.
This is really a hobby.
Right.
For y'all, and you get joy out of it.
Right.
And it doesn't interfere with your life. It doesn't intrude on anything, yeah.
I mean, I sat with all of them. They're very nice, normal women. But to me, it did seem like when you told me that when you go to a doll show and you see a doll that's, you know, a couple of grand and you kind of make like a soul connection with it because it looks slightly to the left of another one that you have and you just can't, you want to leave, but you have to go back and get it. It's like almost like you're adopting a baby.
I said you would go out and you'll pick up a doll and you'll go, no, I don't need that. And then you might come back and go, why does that doll remind me of something? And then you might gravitate toward it because you go, oh my golly, that reminds me of a little boy I had to babysit.
Okay, I vote hobby on this. Y'all vote hobby or if you say hobby, raise your hand. If you say obsession, raise your hand. A few of you think, I think it's a hobby.
Thank you.
And I hope you continue to enjoy it. It looks fun to me. I mean, I wouldn't do it, but if it's what lights you up, light it up. All right, next, are you worried that your child might have an obsession? I'm talking about your kids here. I'm going to tell you how to recognize one developing in children. We're going to meet a mom who says she doesn't understand why her 7-year-old daughter has to live, breathe, and sing Elvis. 7 years old. We'll be right back. Talking about obsessions today, and it's really important to recognize if you do have an obsession. Is it something that's intrusive to you, crowds out other things in your life, and interferes with what you would normally be doing? Now, the question, though, is what happens when you notice your child is developing a really strong interest in something? Now, my next guest, Heather, says her 7-year-old daughter, Kaylee, is obsessed with a celebrity who has been dead for 31 years, Elvis Presley.
This is my daughter, Kaylee. She's had a strange obsession with Elvis since she was 2 years old. This is Kaylee in what we call the Elvis room. As you can see, we've got a lot of her Elvis stuff that she has, and it goes all the way around her room. And when we started running out of room on her walls, we started going to the ceiling.
This is my favorite thing in my Elvis collection. There's records all over my walls. I got a picture with Elvis, my Elvis doll, Elvis glasses, cards, cup, pen, postcard. I have an Elvis plate, everything that you can almost think of. Greatest thing about Elvis is he's handsome.
And trust me, Dr. Phil, with her massive collection, Kaylee never tires of Elvis. It's a non-stop Elvis parade. Dr. Phil, can you please tell me if this is normal?
Okay, so what do you think?
I think she could be into worse things, but it's been going on since she was 2, and most kids, you know, they'll get into something and they'll get out of it, and, you know, it'll come as a phase. And she's done this since she was 2, and it's not ending yet.
Is it here's the question I always ask people. Sometimes I get lots of questions where they'll say, Dr. Phil, is this normal? Or actually, I get the question a lot, Dr. Phil, is he normal? And the answer to that question is something is normal if it doesn't interfere with your other functioning. I mean, if you're able to think, feel, act, deal with your life without interference, then, you know, that's kind of a broad definition, but then what you're doing is probably okay. If it's starting to interfere in some way, and we're talking here about your daughter, if it was interfering with schoolwork, friends with people, you know, young girls or boys her own age, exercise, all the things that you expect a kid at that age to be doing, then I'd say it's crossed the line to abnormal. Is this interfering?
No, she is a straight A student. She's never made anything below an A. She is very interactive. She plays ball in the summertime. She has life, but now when it comes to big events, scheduling vacations, birthday parties, it's got to be Elvis. We're going to Tupelo or we're going to Graceland, you know, it has to wrap around Elvis. It has to.
Well, from the sound of your accent, that's probably not far from your house, is it?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm from Tennessee.
Yeah, that's what I say. I mean, it takes one to know one, right?
Yes.
We're from the South. But do people tease her about this?
Kids in school tease her. Her kindergarten year, we went backpack shopping. We went to a place in Tennessee, it's a big mall, and she found an Elvis backpack. She had to have it. She didn't have one, so I got it for her.
All right. So what's your question for me?
Is this normal? Is it normal that a child as young as she is can be so much in love with something like Elvis?
It's unusual.
Right.
But that's not abnormal. Look, kids look for something to define themselves. They look for something to identify with, something to worship, look up to, live vicariously through, you know, kind of get devoted to in some way. And that's why you have dolls like, you know, what are these American Girl dolls and all of these different things that they get focused on. For her, it turns out to be Elvis. And it's not something that you want to rip away from her. It's not something that you want to punish her for or whatever, but you may need to redirect because I assume from 2 to 7, her income has been pretty limited. Yeah. She probably hadn't worked a lot, so I'm guessing that it's you
mainly
that's going and buying all of this stuff and turning her room into a shrine.
Right. Mainly, but we have everybody in my family does this now. People out of state bring stuff when they come on vacation for her now.
Okay, but you're the gatekeeper.
Yes.
You're either buying it and giving it to her, or you're letting people flood the house with it and give it to her. And if you want to change that, then you have to start putting the brakes on that.
Oh, my husband's putting his foot down. He's really trying really hard to.
Well, but you guys have to be unified about that. And as I say, you don't punish, you start redirecting. And stop buying it all the time. Quit buying it. There's a real great word in parenting, no. No. You know, you're not going to get that. Because if you do, kids can get into it. Again, to me, this doesn't sound like an obsession. It sounds like a hobby. It sounds like an escape for her, and that's okay. But it's getting kind of intense, so it's time to start redirecting and move on to some other things. Start introducing her some other things, some other heroes, some other people that she can emulate, whether it's in academics or sports or church or wherever it may be. and she'll find her way. And trust me, the changes that are coming in her soon as she starts approaching puberty and all that, I think old Elvis is probably going to be in the closet before long. So I wouldn't worry about it, but I would start redirecting her.
Oh, that's good. We just spent 2 hours this morning walking down Hollywood Boulevard looking for the Elvis star, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, well, that gives you 2 hours back in your life. All right, up next, Vivica A. Fox tells me about her secret obsession. Plus, later, you're going to see a known-as big reveal. 3.5 feet cut off after 17 years. Will she do it? Or is she back there choking and trying to put that hair back on? We'll be right back.
Y'all got some funny kind of toilet paper here.
We can't deal with this toilet
Hey,
paper.
tell me about it.
You know what I mean? It's rough.
Yes,
Right?
you know, it's an
Right.
environmental thing. She's doing it for the environment. Well, what can I do?
Okay, well, can you do us a favor? Can we get some soft toilet paper
The
then?
baby's behind.
All
It's
right.
hurting.
Okay. All right. You want soft paper?
Yes.
Oh, yes. No doubt.
I'll get you your soft toilet paper
Okay, cool. Okay.
under one condition. I want access to the toilet.
All right. That was Vivica A. Fox in HBO's Curb Your Enthusiasm. Now, Vivica has a new show on VH1 called Glam God. This reality show combines all three of Vivica's favorite obsessions: hair, makeup, and wardrobe. But she says she has one more. So, do you have an obsession?
Shoes.
Shoes? All right. Now, so how many pair of shoes do you have?
About 500 too. But I give some away when they get played out.
Okay. Now, that was half a sentence. You said about 500 to...
Well, if you include the boots, probably about 650.
650 pairs of shoes?
I have 3 closets and they're all full with shoes. But you guys, I have to go to a lot of events. I do, and sometimes I supply my wardrobe for my movies and my television shows, and sometimes you can't wear the same thing twice.
Of course not.
Yeah, of course not.
Of course not. Now, you have a lot of shoes, but you don't have 650 pairs of shoes, do you?
No, I don't. I do love shoes, and I wish I had that many, but no, I don't.
You wish you had that many.
I wish I had the room for that many.
See, what is the deal with this? Because, guys, I promise you, you want some black shoes,
right.
You want some brown shoes,
right.
You want some tennis shoes.
Right.
And then you're done.
Right.
And I got some golf shoes.
But shoes can start a whole conversation. I'm telling you, it can be like an icebreaker. You know, you can be sitting somewhere and you walk in with a good pair of shoes on, like, oh, baby, where you get those shoes at? Next thing you know, you and her are best friends.
Yeah, but
I'm
you
trying to
said
tell
her.
you.
I've never had anybody come up to me and say, hey, Doc, where'd you get them shoes?
It's true. They come up and ask you other things, I'm
no,
sure.
but I do notice Robin's shoes because I pay attention and I learn.
Oh, and she's got some fabulous ones on today.
Oh, you
Thank
do?
you. I love those. Those are beautiful.
Can you tell something about those shoes from here?
Are those Alexander McQueen?
No, they're YSL.
YSL's good. Yeah, I tell you that they're
And you know what
costly.
that means.
Yes, that's why Yves Saint Laurent. Yes.
Oh, so that's code for...
Yes, YSL,
Okay.
like Dolce & Gabbana's D&G.
All right, now y'all tell me if this is a lie here, but how much does a flashy pair of women's shoes cost?
These were $1,300, those are $7. Oh, you didn't know? I tell you what, though.
Now, hold on.
Okay.
You ain't telling me nothing. You paid $1,300 for those shoes?
Yeah.
You ain't got a brain in your head.
Oh, yes, I do.
You paid
know how much
$1,300
rain I've got in my head? I've got 2 pairs. I've got a pink one, too. Some pink ones.
No. Do people pay that much for shoes?
Sure, see? Girlfriend right there does. Yeah.
Do you pay that much for shoes?
Do you?
No, I'm talking to you.
Me? No.
Oh, really?
You know, one...
Excuse me, hairball. All right, so what do you not have that you want?
Oh, probably children. That will be
Children?
next, yes.
Well, you need a man for that. So are you in the market? I'm not making you an offer. I'm just curious.
Well, you know, because, Dr. Phil, I want to find a man that's equally yoked. I've been married before. And I just think that now in my life, I need to find someone that could deal with my career, how much I work, you know, and the sacrifices that I have to make. Now, of course, I'd love to have a husband, but I'm up for adopting a baby. I believe there's a lot of children out there that need love and, you know, who are in foster care system that, you know, I can make a good mom. I make a great auntie. I take them by the best shoes.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bet. And ruin them forever when they get home.
I start them on starter kits.
So when you do Glam Gods on VH1,
Yes.
we're talking about this kind of bling. You're talking about really hooking people up and getting them right.
Well, Glam God is all about celebrity A-list event styling for celebrity when they go on the red carpet.
Right.
So, you know, when you go on the red carpet, you've gotten anywhere on about $100,000 worth of jewels, you know, the dress. So it's styling for celebrity red carpet events. And these stylists, they're wanting the opportunity and the exposure of a lifetime. They're competing for $100,000, the title of Glam God, and a styling agent.
So they're gonna win $100 grand.
$100 grand. You want to sign up?
Plus get a big rep. No, hell no. Hell no. Well, is there anything left that you haven't done? I mean, major movies, television. I mean, is there anything you haven't done that you really have in your sights? This Glam Gods is a great thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Producer as well.
Yeah.
Probably in the future, direct.
Yeah.
You know, that would be wonderful for me. For right now, it just takes a little bit too much time when you direct because you have to live with the project for a little bit longer than what I'd like to. So maybe in the future, I'd like to direct. Because I'm producing now and starring and things, so I'm kind of in front of the camera as well as behind. I'm just glad I'm still here. I'm gonna keep it real.
Well, what's
Thank you.
What's the most fun role you've done out of all the roles that you played? What was it? Do you have a favorite or something that you really had the most fun doing?
Well, oh gosh, can I name top 3?
Sure.
Okay, Independence Day was wonderful with Will Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a nice little niche movie. Didn't it make about $800 million?
$800 million, yeah.
See,
I mean, you know,
things.
when Will does it, he does it Big Willie style. So, you know, he opens big all the time. You can play that game. Yeah. That was my first starring role. And it taught girls about the tricks of relationships. And also, I would say Set It Off with Queen Latifah, Jada Pinkett Smith. And Kimberly Elise.
Yeah.
You know, that was the little movie that could, because it was a movie that we made for $9 million that a lot of people didn't think that they would take seriously, and people went to see it 2 and 3 times, and it's become like a cult classic.
Yeah, you and I know that there's a lot of work that goes on behind the camera to have those great roles, but they're still great to see them come to fruition and pop out there.
I mean, people have no idea that when you do produce a film, how much work it goes in with the casting and the script and shooting it. I mean, when we were shooting Set It Off, we were filming in downtown Los Angeles at night.
Yeah.
So that made for quite an adventure, but we got it done.
Yeah, quite an adventure.
It was.
All right, well, coming up, she hasn't cut her hair in 17 years. We're going to reveal Anona's new look. Vivica's got it going on backstage. We're going to see what happens when we get back. Celebrity stylist Philip Block's client list includes huge stars like Halle Berry, Salma Hayek, Vivica A. Fox. Now, Philip convinced Anona it was time to throw away her T-shirt and jeans and get rid of that hair down to her rear end, which she's had for 17 years. Now, her husband Jeremy says he can't even imagine seeing her any different. So that's all you've ever known, right?
Yeah, since we've met.
Just that one look.
Just the long hair.
But fashion-wise as well as hair, because she's kind of static on the fashion front, and the hair just keeps getting longer, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much, okay. So let's take a look at Anona before. Do we have that? Okay, here she is before. And the good news is she's as cute as she could be. I mean, just like this. But here she is now. Come on out, Anona. First, before you say anything, what do you think?
That is awesome, Dr. Phil. Thank you.
That is great. You good? So, tell me what you think.
I love it.
You do?
I love it, yes.
So you're okay with it? You like it?
That's
Yes.
beautiful, Mom.
Now, you said before that you didn't ever want to look like a boy. I don't think anybody's going to confuse you with a boy with that haircut at all. So but you're good with it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah?
There you go.
Okay.
Do you see yourself right there? Well, that's the back of it. Look how beautifully it's layered. It looks great.
Okay, look over here. You see it in the front.
Yeah, right there.
Strange. Oh, wow. You look great. She said, oh.
So you hadn't seen it. You didn't mirror up on
not
this.
yet, no.
Okay.
She was just going by the feeling.
Yeah, it felt so much better.
We layered it for you.
So pretty and
this is
healthy.
really easy for you to maintain. The only thing you have to do is just put like big giant hot rollers in it, take it out, run your fingers through it. You're ready to go.
Volume.
Right, volume.
And
That's
listen,
all you
she's
gotta
telling
do.
you true because that's what I do.
Exactly.
Shake it out.
Yeah, shake it out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we really want to thank Vivica and Philip, and you can catch Glam God on VH1. We'll be right back. Well, I want to thank all of my guests today, and thanks to reborn artist Judy Plant for loaning us one of her reborn babies. It was fun to watch people react to that. I want to say thank you to Macy's and BlueFly.com for a known-as new look. Now, whatever you think about an obsession you might have, as long as it's not disruptive to your life, it brings you peace, calmness, joy, then there's nothing wrong with it. I'm going to have those definitions that we went through on the show on Dr.phil.com so you can look at them. I think pretty much everybody we talked about today is pretty much hobby. And it only becomes an obsession when it really crowds things out of your mind. But I thought we had a good discussion about it. Thank you guys for being here. We'll see you next time.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम दोस्तों, आज मैं आप लोगों के साथ जो स्टोरी शेयर करने जा रही हूँ इसे आप लोगों ने सोशल मीडिया, यूट्यूब, फेसबुक या कहीं ना कहीं ज़रूर देखा होगा। ये बड़े पेट वाला आदमी, इसका नाम निकोकाडो एवोकाडो है। निकोकाडो एवोकाडो को इसकी एक्सट्रीम ईटिंग वीडियोस की वजह से जाना जाता है, जिसमें ये 4-4, 5-5 लोगों का खाना अकेले ही हड़प कर जाता है। इसका काम अपनी वीडियोस में सनसनी फैलाना और ड्रामा करना है। कुछ ही साल पहले इसने अपने यूट्यूब चैनल का आगाज़ वीगनिज़म से किया था। ये एक वीगन था जो सिर्फ सब्जियां खाता था, लेकिन आहिस्ता आहिस्ता ये वीगनिज़म से बोर होना शुरू हो गया और इसका दूसरी चीज़ें खाने को भी दिल करने लगा। कुछ साल वीगन रहने के बाद जब इसने खाना शुरू किया तो ये वहशियों की तरह खाता था। उसकी वहशियाना वीडियोस को देखकर इसे बहुत ज़्यादा पॉपुलैरिटी मिली। इसी पॉपुलैरिटी का फ़ायदा उठाते हुए इसने और ज़्यादा ड्रामा क्रिएट करना शुरू कर दिया और अपनी वीडियोस में बहुत ज़्यादा सनसनी फैलानी शुरू कर दी। उसे अपनी पॉपुलैरिटी का फ़ायदा व्यूज़ और पैसे की शक्ल में हुआ, जिसे इसने बहुत ज़्यादा कैश किया। लेकिन मसला तब शुरू हुआ जब इसने बहुत ज़्यादा वेट पुट ऑन करना शुरू कर दिया। ये बहुत ज़्यादा मोटा और भद्दा नज़र आने लगा। इसकी इन हरकत की वजह से इसका पार्टनर भी इसे छोड़ गया। इस चीज़ का भी इसने यूट्यूब पर बहुत ज़्यादा ड्रामा क्रिएट किया और बहुत ज़्यादा व्यूज़ हासिल किए। ये यूट्यूब पर एक बहुत ही मतनाज़ शख्सियत बन चुका था, कुछ अपने खाने की वजह से और कुछ अपने गंदे और बुरे ख़यालात की वजह से। जब इसका पार्टनर इसे छोड़कर चला गया तो ये बहुत ज़्यादा दुखी था और हार्ट ब्रोकन भी। इसने सोशल मीडिया और यूट्यूब पर बहुत ज़्यादा फस क्रिएट किया और बताया कि वो अकेला रह चुका है और अपने पार्टनर के बगैर बिल्कुल भी रह नहीं पा रहा। निकोकाडो एवोकाडो की ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन बहुत ज़्यादा हैरानकुन थी। उसने बहुत ही कम अरसे में बहुत ज़्यादा वेट लॉस कर लिया था। उसकी इस ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन को देखकर उसका पार्टनर भी उसके पास वापस आ गया। कहा जाता है कि इंसान वही होता है जो वो खाता है, इसलिए हमें हमेशा हेल्दी ईटिंग की तरफ जाना चाहिए, क्योंकि अनहेल्दी ईटिंग के बहुत ज़्यादा नुकसानात हैं जिनके असरात बाद में नज़र आते हैं। और निकोकाडो एवोकाडो इस चीज़ की एक बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल है। अगर आपको ये स्टोरी पसंद आई तो इस वीडियो को लाइक करें और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दें, और इस वीडियो को अपने दोस्तों के साथ शेयर करना मत भूलें।